Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is a regular board meeting, January 17th, 2012, here at 1900 Price Road. It is approximately 5:30 in the afternoon. Please rise for a moment of silence, and as we do so, let's please remember Rosalinda Calderon Benavides, who was a former educator, passed away recently. Jaime Gonzalez Jr., a student who also passed away on the 4th of January. Yolanda Castañeda, who was one of our paraprofessionals. Silvana N. Salinas, who was one of our educators, and Estela Janelle Fernandez, who passed away on the 11th and also was one of our former educators. Let's face the flag, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor our Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item 4, roll call. Mr. Colunga is not present, and I didn't hear from him, so I'm not sure if he'll be showing up, joining us later or not. Moving on to item 5, recommend approving the agenda of the regular board meeting of January 17th, 2012, with any corrections or deletions. Dr. Montoya.
Mr. President, members of the board, on consent agenda item 18, on section 18 of the consent agenda, additional information is provided for you. Also, item 21 under the consent agenda, pages 286 to 293 will be replaced with 286A through 293A, and that is it.
Thank you, Dr. Montoya. With that said, do I have a motion to
Motion.
approve? I have a motion by Mrs. Presa, seconded by
Second.
Mrs. Peña. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. If there are no objections from the board, I'd like to recommend, entertain a motion to approve the following minutes as recommended and reflected in items 6,
Motion.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. If there are no objections, I have a motion. By Mrs. Presa, seconded by Dr. Saavedra. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Dr. Covell, also I'd like to make an exception for the board meeting, special call meeting for November the 16th and the 17th. I was absent. Therefore, I abstain from voting on those two special call meetings.
Okay, duly noted. Thank you. The motion passed unanimously with the exception that was just stated. Moving on to consent agenda. I have received a list from my colleagues indicated there is a need to discuss and or deliberate the following agenda items. We will be discussing under consent agenda items number 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 23, 24. Under budget amendments 30, 31. Under contracts agreements 46. Under bids, proposals, purchases 47, 50, 51. Under personnel 56. Under consultation with attorney 57. So let me just say them one more time. We will be discussing and or deliberating items number 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 23, 24, 30, 31, 46, 47, 50, 51, 56, and 57. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as reflected.
Motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Aguilar, seconded by Mrs. Peña. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes unanimously. Moving on to Superintendent's Report Conference Presentation. Item number 1, 2012 School Board Recognition Month. Dr. Montoya.
Dr. Escobedo, members of the board, we'd like to take a few minutes and recognize you. I will be stepping down to the other podium, and then we'll continue the agenda item. Dr. Escobedo, members of the board, audience, this is a special month. We take a few minutes to recognize a group that always has a difficult task to improve, to help our students, to help our schools, to help our school district and community. I truly believe that all you folks, all you board members have done an excellent job. Your heart is always in improving services to staff and to students. And I think having sat in this position over the last few months, I have seen exactly where you're at and where you want things to be. But the bottom line for me and for all our administrators in the district is that you are excellent at what you do. You are excellent with your heart focused on improving services for our students, for our staff, and for our schools. And so we'd like to just briefly ask you to please step down so I can give you a certificate of appreciation. Dr. Escobedo, as board president, sir, if you'll step down. Mrs. Lucy Longoria, Board Vice President, if you'll please step forward. Dr. Cristina Saavedra, Board Secretary. Mrs. Katy Presas Garcia, Board Assistant Secretary. Mr. Rolando Aguilar, Board Member. Mrs. Minerva Pena, Board Member.
Careful. No popping wheelies.
You have a motorcycle endorsed?
No popping wheelies.
Oh, okay.
And lastly, we will recognize later on Mr. Joko Lunga, Board Member. At this time, we'd like to kind of go down the list of items here for recognition, presentation by the clusters. And I will bring up Ms. Sandra Lopez.
Yes, Dr. Montoya.
Come on over here. And I'll let you pick up from there to introduce your Hannah, Lopez, and Rivera people. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Montoya, President Dr. Escobedo, and members of the board. At this time, it is my pleasure to invite the Hannah Principal Clusters principals, and followed by the Lopez principals and then the Rivera principals for a very special presentation as a big thank you for all your work to all the board members.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Troy Zedvinio. I'm a 4th grader at Hudson Elementary. I'm also a very proud member of the Hannah class of 2020. I plan on being my class valedictorian.
All right.
The principals of the Hannah cluster have come tonight to thank you, our school board, for all that you do. Because of your leadership, our cluster has been able to accomplish great things on our campuses.
President.
On behalf of the Hannah cluster principals, who are those good-looking and very smart people right behind me,
Oh, yeah, that's our next U.S. president right there.
I bring you the following statements from each school. The mighty bandits are proud to say Burns Elementary is where success begins. The exemplary sharks of Paredes Elementary continue to make waves and achieve great successes. Felipe Perez Elementary, where there is plenty of positive energy, where no excuses are made for still learning, and where failure is not an option. Positive thinking and positive thoughts lead to positive energy, and positive energy leads to positive results. Egley Elementary is the home of the Shining Knights, where children come first. The Hudson Elementary Coyotes, all accomplished students, how to be the best of the best. Oliveda Middle School, a recognized campus at which no matter where you are always following a leader. Vela Eagles, where excellent academics and goals lead to exemplary students. Hannah High School, a TA recognized school where Eagles always soar above the rest. We have accomplished our successes because you, our school board, are great leaders. Together, we have a fantastic team of educators who truly believe in what they do. On a personal note, I invite you all to visit our schools. Maybe you can come to Hudson and play a competitive game of chess with me and my friends. At this time, I would like to give each one of you a copy of my article from our campus newspaper, the Cody Chronicle. Thank you for being our leaders.
It's too adorable. Adorable. I want to give you. Thank you for all you do. Thank you. Thank you for all you do. Qué hermoso. All of that. Thank you, sir, for all you do. Thank you for all that you do. Thanks so much. Thank you so much for everything. That's what we're producing. I am so excited for our future. Thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you so much. Thanks. I'm so proud of you. Buildings ready. You do so well. Thank you guys. Wouldn't be here without you guys. Thank you, Robert, for all you do. Terry, they'll be there tomorrow. They start tomorrow. The whole 1 days.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
I know, it's nice.
Okay, let's take a picture for the cluster. ¿Te pones esa allá cerquita de la mesa? Pon la placa, it'll be the identified and the smile.
Anytime.
Come all the way back.
Get as close as you can without blowing up the balloons or popping the balloons. No popping the balloons. All the way back, otherwise you don't come out. Are we in? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, Board President Escobedo, board members, and Dr. Montoya. My name is Ilse Zacharias, and I am a student at Lopez High School. You are probably wondering if this is the new Lopez High School dress code policy. And it is. During the annual production of the Fine Arts Musical. With me are Selena Aguilera and Jaime Menchaca. Two of the principals in the production. All three of us are products of the Lopez cluster from elementary to high school. They are also very attractive. It may seem like a theatrical production would have little to no effect on the future of a student, but it is because of these shows, and in turn, your support of these shows, that I have decided to major in theater in college, and thus build my career from there on. We are the products of your hard work. We appreciate the time and effort that you all, as a group and individually, put forth to make our district a success. Once again, on behalf of the Lopez Cluster Schools, thank you for your support. A token of our appreciation.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing you all on Friday. How exciting.
I'm so looking forward to that. Thank you so much. Thank you. No, thank you for being here.
I am so looking forward to seeing you. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I want to see you.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Y'all are the backbone. Yes, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Right now?
Thank you. Hello.
You're welcome. Thank you for all that you do, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart. Very nice.
Thank you for that beautiful shirt.
Cool.
That's all the way to the back.
Oh, you did. Good. Who's Christy? Right?
Good, man?
How you doing?
Sir. Hey, sir, how are you?
Without popping the balloons. Okay, everybody smile. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you for all you do.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
That's right.
Oh, cool.
Good evening, Dr. Escobedo, chairperson, president, members of the board, and Dr. Montoya. I'm Hector Hernandez, principal of Olivera High School. We made a decision to allow our newest principal of Olivera cluster, Yolanda Turbeville, to go ahead and choose one of her students to go ahead and do the presentation for you all for tonight. Ms. Turbeville?
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, on behalf of the Rivera Cluster, please find a small token of our appreciation for everything you do below. It is my pleasure and my honor to introduce to you Madison Fernandez, an outstanding 4th grade student at Peña Elementary. Madison?
On behalf of the students, parents, and faculty at Peña Elementary and the Rivera High School cluster, I would like to take a minute to introduce the principals leading our cluster. Rivera High School, Hector Hernandez. Perkins Middle School, Blanca Lambari. Garcia Middle School, Teresa Nunez. Breeden Elementary, Flores Emerson. Trumpton Elementary, Lucy Green. Gallegos Elementary, Teresa Villafuerte. Gonzalez Elementary, Yolanda Kruger. Peña Elementary, Yolanda Turbeville. Vermilion Elementary, Socorro Hoteling. In addition to our principals, I would also like to take this opportunity to welcome all in attendance here this evening. Tonight, I would like to take a moment to extend our sincere thanks and gratitude for all the opportunities that our school board gives, not only to our schools, but to our community. As your leadership team, you consistently support both the academic and the extracurricular activities of our students. Thank you for continuously putting plans into place which assure that students learn in a safe and healthy environment. And these environments, we not only reach but maintain goals that promote well-rounded students such as myself. I assure you that because of your hard work and dedication, you have a helping hand in shaping the leaders of tomorrow. Thank you and good evening.
Beautiful words, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yolanda. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you. Ma'am. Oh, it's okay. How are you doing?
Yes, ma'am. All the way to the factory.
You?
Thanks for all your support.
All the tall ones in the middle. No. We're all the same height over here.
Nomás Yolanda y Hector en cada orilla.
That's what I mean. Thank you, ladies. Thank you.
Need anything? You want some water?
So thank you very much, ma'am. Okay?
Yes. Yes. At this time, Dr. Rita Hernandez, if you will introduce your 3 clusters, Porter, Pace, and Veterans.
Good evening, Dr. Montoya, President Escobedo, members of the board, and guests in the audience. The Porter Pace and Veterans Memorial Cluster principals and their respective campus families would like to send a special message of gratitude to you this evening. Helping us with this grand gesture, we have Frida Sanchez, of course, and her wonderful parents, proud parents, representing the Porter Cluster. Samira Lozano, here with her very proud parents also, representing the Pace Cluster. And Juan Murillo, with his very proud family, representing the Veterans Memorial Cluster. Come on up, Sunshine. Got it?
Good evening. I'm Frida Sanchez. I'm a second grader at Puganet Elementary, but as you can see, I'm also a very proud member of the class of 2022 at Porter High School. When I grow up, When I grow up, I want to graduate from Texas A&M University and major as a veterinarian. I may even grow up to be my class valedictorian too. I am here representing the hardworking Porter Cluster principals. They will be the great-looking and very smart people right behind me. We would like to thank you for all you do. Because of your leadership, we are able to accomplish great things on our campus. Because of your leadership, you are making us shine. I invite you to come play with me and my friends in a friendly but competitive game of basketball. We will be waiting for you. Thank you for being our leaders.
Thank you, Frida. That was wonderful. I know your parents are very proud. Those of you, like myself, who grew up bilingual, allowed me. Buenas noches. Mi nombre es Samira Lozano. Soy una estudiante de octavo grado de Cummings Middle School. Pero como ustedes pueden ver, también soy un miembro muy importante de la generación 2016 de la preparatoria de Pace. Cuando yo sea grande, quiero ser abogada y graduarme de la Universidad de Harvard. Puede que llegue a ser la número 1 de mi generación. Uno nunca sabe. Estoy aquí representando a un equipo excepcional y muy trabajador como son los directores del equipo de Pace. Ellos son las personas más inteligentes y simpáticas que están atrás de mí. Queremos darle las gracias por todo lo que hacen y por su liderazgo, porque gracias a eso hemos podido realizar tantas cosas importantes en nuestras escuelas. Por su liderazgo. Garden Park Elementary es donde los tigres rugen por el éxito. Martin Elementary es el lugar donde las superestrellas se debaten por aprender. Russell Elementary tienen los estudiantes de hoy y los líderes de mañana. Sharp Elementary, donde enseñan como campeones porque enseñan a campeones. Skinner Elementary, su lema no es lo bien que trabaja una persona, sino lo bien que trabajan en equipo. Cummings Middle School, nuestro lema es trabajando juntos hacemos la diferencia. Still Middle School, donde el respeto, la integridad y la disciplina son el camino del guerrero. Pace High School, donde el orgullo es algo nuestro. Nosotros, como equipo de Pace, hacemos grandes cosas y todo eso es gracias a ustedes. Son los líderes ejemplares. Por eso y por muchas cosas más me quito el birrete. Por respeto y admiración por todo lo que hacen por nosotros. Los invito a que visiten nuestras escuelas. Tal vez algún día nos podamos juntar a un partido de ajedrez, ya sea conmigo o con mis amigos. Ahí los esperaremos. Y nuevamente, muchas gracias por ser nuestros líderes y les deseo unas buenas noches.
Thank you, Zamira. I know your parents are also very proud of you. In high school, our teacher challenged us to reach for the stars and to see the world. And sometimes they bring the world to us. Buonasera. Mi chiamo Juan Murillo. Sono nel nono anno al liceo Veterans Memorial. Ma come potete vedere, sono anche un membro orgoglioso della classe 2015. fa grande volere laurearmi di Baylor University e specializzarmi in medicina. Sono qui per rappresentare i presidenti diligenti del gruppo Veterans Memorial. Vorremmo ringraziarvi per tutto quello che voi fate e per la vostra dirigenza che noi possiamo realizzare grandi cose nel nostro campus. Per la vostra dirigenza, Veterans Memorial High School, orgoglio di essere la casa di orologi. Benavides Elementary. Fa grande e sta marinaggio tutti i giorni. Pelham Elementary. Orologio cardinale, potere cardinale, professore cardinale. Siamo Pelham. Itura Elementary. Rangers, raggiungendo il successo. Ortiz Elementary. Innovato il sentiero alle stars. Ancora diteri alle eccellenze. Keller Elementary. Se sei un orso, sei un grizzly. Villanueva Elementary. Insieme possiamo creare un domani migliore. Stillman Middle School. Se lo credi, lo potremo ottenere. Manzano Middle School. La casa dei Spartans. Facciamo cose grandi perché voi siete grandi bordi. Grazie.
If we'd like to have the clusters, if you bring the Porter cluster up first so we can take a picture, please.
No, Pace. No, it's Porter. Porter, Pace, and then followed by that.
Grazie.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Gracias, gracias. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you. Good job, sweetheart.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Hi. Gracias. Gracias. All right. Thank you for everything. Thank you so much. Hi there. Boy. Boy. Happy New Year. Good job, ma'am. Good job, ma'am. How you doing? Joe? Did Joe get one? See if Joe got one. No, it's Joe. Did you get that? Joe? No, Dr. Montoya. Great job, ma'am. Thank you.
All the way to the back, please.
Oh, honey, thank you. Bertita. Aquí estamos. You didn't go to the meeting on Monday, but you're not out. You're still in.
All he needs to do is ask him yes. The tall one's at the end. Change places with Miss Rita, otherwise that's my chin off. There you go. Tall ones and the bookings. We're a bunch of Jordys over here. Stand on your toes, guys. We have to practice our ballerina skills. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so very much for all you do.
No, but they're going to talk.
They already did.
Oh, they already did.
Okay, Pace, why don't you come up, please?
Okay.
Take a picture with face.
Wow.
Very good job.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Ooh. Oh my goodness.
Excellent.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you, sir.
Hi. Thank you for everything.
Same to you.
No, you guys are a blessing to us. Qué bonito. No, it's super heavy. I love the canister idea. Nice. Hi, sir. How are you doing?
Thank you.
I think you have our buses. Yeah,
Sir, how are you? Thank you.
Oh, this is Steve. God, beautiful. We get a handshake. God, I don't think so. It doesn't say sugar free. The same one as ours here. No. What about it? Oh, yes. Good to see you. Where do we put the height? No, where do we put this wonderfully tall man? Because the rest of us are short. It's a blessing to be that tall. We just by a foot.
Yeah, 19.
Nobody move. We got a photographer in the back. There you go, Miss Longoria. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
And now, veterans.
Money like that.
That's right, Michelle.
Excellent. Try to get Thanks.
I don't know what you said, but thank you.
Such a good job.
Thank you.
Tell him he has to report to the office tomorrow. Thank you.
You're a charmer. You're doing great. Hi, Mama. Good job. Yes, you do. Hi, Mom. How are you doing? I know Rita. You're doing good. So much. The deliverer. The deliverer. You see me? Thank you so much. Like this morning. Didn't kiss it hard enough.
So are you having fun?
Well.
No.
I'm gonna wash the hand.
Mine.
I heard. Mine. Right. I want hers now. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for everything. Contrary, man. You do the hard part.
We're so bad. We're so bad. I'm like, why would you say that? He goes, that's what I heard. Good job. How you doing? Good job, man. Oh, he was adorable.
It's like, it's mutual.
Okay, I'm going to get a copy of the meeting just because of that. Just what good is this? You want? Christian? Good job, sir. Him? Yes. The little boy that talked. Oh, Pat. He's our next president of the United States of America. Is it hot or is it? Hey. Thank you. What is that?
One heart, sir.
Yes.
Hey, Joe.
Good circulation. Hi, Joe. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Dripping, dripping. Parlez-vous français?
And closing our school presentations is support services. Ms. Berta Peña, if you'll introduce your campus.
Thank you, Dr. Montoya, Dr. Escobedo, members of the board. We represent a different type of cluster. We do it a little bit different from my cluster. We have 4 alternative schools and 8 departments. And making tonight's presentation is Mr. Tim Snyder, the principal at Lincoln Park, and Don Hall, who's our principal of Bex, our early college high school.
Good evening, Dr. Montoya, Dr. Escobedo, and board members. We have a few things we'd like to share with you and give you. The first one will be given to you by Ms. Don Hall, the principal, my colleague from Bex.
Thank you, Tim. One of the things that I'm proudest of is being a member of the BISD family. And the climate that you have provided for us allows us to share the very best in education with the students of this community. Because I solicit and actively recruit students from around the district and from various schools, I felt it was important to assure the parents that BISD has the very best in mind for their students. So in that light, I wrote a little book, and it's called What We Believe. And I'd like to share a couple of things with you from the book. It says, we believe that teachers should know their students by name. We believe that courtesy should not be based upon a student's size or where they are from. We believe a high school diploma and college credits are more valuable to you than gold. We believe that when a student calls for help, an actual caring BISD teacher should answer. We believe in doing what's right for students, even when no one is looking. We'd never do anything with a child's mind we wouldn't do with our own children. We believe you learn what you work for. We believe there's only so much you can learn from a book. The rest you must learn from your BISD teachers. And we love our students. Thank you.
We hope you enjoy the book. The second thing we have to give you, we'll present it to you in just a minute, is we have a drawing of you, Dr. Montoya, and all the board members. Now, I'd like to say, no, it's very nice, very classy. Okay. I would like to say that I drew it, okay? But I didn't get past stick figure, so I can't take credit for it. But we do hope you enjoy it hanging in your office or your work area or something, and it reminds you of your time together here on the board. The third thing we have for you is a calendar. Not just any calendar, mind you. Okay. You guys are on the cover, okay? Which is the same as the picture we're going to give you. Okay. We gave you a calendar because that way you can think of us all year round.
Thank you.
Okay. The gift that keeps on giving. Okay.
Excellent.
When you open it up to the first page, you've seen those calendars like the Firemen of Boston. These guys have these 6-packs or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Are the policewomen of L.A., you know, that kind of thing? So we have the hunks of BISD and the babes of BISD and the opening one.
Nice.
And if you hold them just right and the light hits it so it blurs a little bit, you can see that all of us guys have 6-packs. Okay.
Nice. Thank you.
Okay. We are an eclectic group. We really are, because I have the youngest students in BISD. I have 4- and 5-week-old babies. Okay. So I've learned to babble a little bit while I've been over there at Lincoln Park. Okay. And then Debbie Alford at Adult Ed has somebody in their 70s, which shows you're never too young to learn and you're never too old to learn. It's a lifelong process that we need to share with others. And who is this eclectic group of people? Let me just, to introduce them real quickly. From Adult Ed, we have Debbie Alford. From BAC, we have Sylvia Centeno. From Early College High School, Don Hall, who presented earlier. From BLA, Brownsville Learning Academy, Amy Garza. From Curriculum Instruction, Doris Salceda. From Dyslexia 504 and Title IX, Merrill Hammonds. From Guidance and Counseling, Carlos Guerra. From Instructional Technology, Kent Whittemore. From the Mailroom of Public Information, Drew Brown. From Parental Involvement, Rosalba Larasquitu. Okay. From Pupil Services, Minnie Zamora. And from Special Services, Sharon Moore. And as you go through your calendar, you'll see different highlights of these different programs in different schools. And of course, they start off with, I think, the best one, or my favorite, Lincoln Park. Okay. Okay. And this is what my 4- and 5-week-old babies babbled to tell me to tell you. Thank you for touching our lives from the very beginning and for helping our mommy's dreams come true. Okay.
Thank you so
Okay, and it'll
welcome.
say stuff like that. And I hope you enjoy both your picture and your calendar. Thank you.
If you'd step forward for a picture, please.
For you. Remember we got one last year? Do you still have your picture from last year? I have it right there in my dining room. Yeah, everybody got it. I won't forget to ask. Thanks for a mom.
Oh, red is your favorite color.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you so much for everything you do for our children.
Thank you, Mr. Hammond.
Thank you. Oh, they're using the strong man to do. Oh, happy. Oh my God, that is so awesome. Thank you for everything you do.
That is so cool. The red hair. I love it. Oh, how awesome. That is
incredible.
So nice.
I knew I should have dressed better that day. We're going to take pictures. No, we're not. They come in and go, see, I didn't even have my hair. Very nice. They did a beautiful job in the picture.
They did.
Yes, I love that they put lipstick on all the girls. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Remember, I'm only a phone call away.
Botox.
Thank you. Hope you enjoy it.
I love it.
Thank you.
Oye, me pusieron Botox.
Beautiful. You're my inspiration.
Thank you. Hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, that's cool. That is adorable. This is a keeper.
Thank you.
I love it. Ana Barrera. He said it hurts.
Who designed this? You all got together?
How are you? I so love it.
So creative. So adorable.
Look at this. Sir,
Yes.
it looks just like him.
Thank you, Miss Peña.
And Mr. Colunga looks just like him too. I so
It is
love
so
it. I love it. He even got the little pin I was wearing that day.
Yeah.
All right. I told him. Are we going to take pictures?
Good, thank you. Gotta be the one.
You like that? Okay, hold on. Oops, hold on.
Getting ready.
It's the board that's expiring. Okay, so how do we do it? Because we got too many tall people. Am I fine here?
I think.
What do you want? No, I said I'll throw you one.
Yay! Estoy
Okay.
Le dije si debíamos take pictures
Yeah.
or no. Perfectly.
Thank you all very much. A young lady just said, February is the best month, and this particular meeting is one that's always very touching to all of us, because we sincerely appreciate your kind words, your gestures, your drawings, and your baskets. So thank you all very much. Any comments from the board? If not, we move on to item 2.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. I'll just say a few words.
I love it.
I want to say a few words, and to all our administrators. This is the hardest job you have ever done. All our teachers, that's even harder. Our students and our support staff. Without you, we wouldn't be the best school district in South Texas and pretty much the state. So thank you. God bless you. And I really do pray that the road to take our children to the top in the future gets smoother, and that we do everything we can to make that
transition possible for you. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Mrs. Garcia?
Yes, I'd like to thank all of you for the goodie bags and everything. The words mean a lot to us. It is a lot of work, but together and united, we can move forward and make sure that we do what's best for our students. We are here for the students, and we must not lose the focus that because of you, as part of our team, we are who we are at the national level and at the state level and at the Rio Grande level. So continue the great work, and we're here for the campuses, we're here for the students, and let's be positive and have a great attitude, and we'll be able to succeed. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Any other comments from the board? If not, we move on. Mr. Colunga?
I also echo my colleagues' comments and really appreciate the support and the thoughts, the gifts. It's really more than we could ever pay back in your consideration for the leadership of the district, and it is overwhelming. I can't thank you enough, and really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Colunga. Mr. Aguilar?
I just want to say thank you for the past eight years. You've been wonderful. This is one of the favorite months for the board members. It seems that everybody cares, and it's really neat that at least once a year, all of us get together and enjoy all the success that the school district has been, and the ones responsible are out there in the audience. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Aguilar. Mrs. Longoria?
I'll make this sweet and short. Thank you all so much for your dedication, hard work, and your gifts, but most of all, your kind words. Thank you all for a great job.
Thank you, Mrs. Longoria.
And I want to say thank you and thanks for the ride. It's been a difficult ride, but it's well worth it if it means supporting great people, great students, and wonderful parents who support the community. Thank you again. God bless, and let's move forward.
Thank you, Dr. Saavedra. Well, with that said, we move on to item 2, recognition of the Pace High School Football Players Championship. Special mention of Kyle Carter, Pace High School free safety, who was selected for the 2011 Texas 5A All-State Football second team. This is a board member request. I'll pass the floor to Mrs. Garcia.
Yes, thank you, Doctor. And what a great day to recognize our athletes and our coach and the success that they had. I want you to know, for the football players, that I enjoyed every time that I went to your pep rallies. You have a great principal. I graduated with her. Don't want to say how long ago. And let me apologize. The reason why I said PSJ Bears, it's because I come from back in that era. So I meant to say PSJ Raiders. So, and I'd like to commend you for all the efforts that you put together. You have a great coach. And I'm not saying it because I know him. He was my history teacher in high school. So, but let me tell you,
She just told her age.
He tried.
And yours, Mr. Medrano.
So, but let me tell you, I'm sure he never thought of me of being here someday. I'm sure he never even imagined that one of his students would be one of the leaders. But, I commend all of you, and I want to tell you that you guys impressed the community. We were behind you every step of the way, and I hope that you cherished every moment of every game, because that time we won't be able to bring back. It becomes a memory, and it stays in our mind and in our hearts. But with all that said, I want you to know that there's always a winner, and there's always a team that's got to lose. But win or lose, we will always love our children, our students, our athletes, because we believe that you have a lot of potential. So if you have a dream, reach for that dream. Continue your education. If you feel you can play college, you go out there and you work hard, and you put your mind to it and put your heart into it, and you will succeed. We believe in you, and we wish you nothing but the best, and we're very proud of you. Thanks to your principal and thanks to your coach. And now, if Mr. Medrano could introduce
if I could yield the floor to Dr. Montoya.
Again, I just wanted to re-echo what everybody here is saying, Coach and team members from PACE. You were the city champs. That's outstanding. You were also one of the outstanding teams in the Valley with your record, so we compliment you on those. And Coach, if you'd like to make some comments.
Would all the players please come up here, just around here, guys. First, I didn't know I was going to speak, but let me say, I need to apologize to everybody. We, as a group, didn't bring any gifts tonight, okay? No. But I know a lot of you went to our games, and I think we have a lot of great memories, and those memories, those are our gifts to you for the last lifetime from this group, let me tell you.
That is cool.
We have a lot to be proud of, without a doubt. You know, this group of kids, of young men, they dedicated themselves, and they did a lot. They did a lot not only for PACE, but they did a lot for the community, and they brought together the community. You could see it, and I think it has, we have great leadership there. Ms. Longoria, I don't know where she's at. She's back there in the back somewhere. But I tell you what, she's done a great job for us. Coach Chavez has done a great job for us, leading us, And it's been really a special ride for everybody. But like I always tell the kids, when you have team success, you're always going to have some great individual honors. And we have that tonight, We've got a plaque here to give to a young man that it's hard to make. First of all, it's hard to make maybe all Metro. It's hard to make all district. But when you make all state, that says a lot about you. And this young man, he made honorable mention last year, and this year he made second team all state. So I'd like to give him this plaque right here. Kyle Carter.
Congratulations.
And on that same note, I just received these awards a couple of days ago. And I think these awards are just as special because the way Kyle received his award for what he did on the field, these next young men that I'm about to introduce, two of them have other functions tonight, but one of them is here, made all-state as far as in the classroom is concerned. We had three kids make the Texas High School Coaching Association academic all-state football team. Two of them, like I mentioned, I want to mention their names. They're not here. They have other functions tonight. One of them is Sergio Galvan. He made honorable mention all-state. Bradley Borland, he is here tonight. Where's Bradley at? Bradley. Congratulations, Bradley. And our other young man, he just left for a basketball game. His name is Hugo Martinez. So I think these are pretty special awards, too, because these kids, they really bust their tails on the field, but they know why they go to school in the first place, and that's to get an education. And we're really proud of them. We're really proud of our principal. We're proud of everybody, and we're proud of Pace High School. So, again, thank you for having us. And go Vikings.
Vikings.
Go ahead, come up here.
What?
Mr. Medrano, I just have 5 words to tell you. Way to go, Pace Vikings. Thank you. Sorry. Bless you. I'm going to look for you in the NFL. Way to go. Congratulations. We're going to do it again next year. Do it again next year. Good job. Hey, next year again, buddy. Again, and give your mom and dad a big hug. Awesome. Awesome, guys. Awesome. Okay. Great job. Good job. Great job. I want to see you guys play college. And NFL, come on. Good job. Congratulations. Continue the journey. Continue the journey. Good job. Good job. Congratulations.
Hey, real quick, the guys that do all the work, and I forgot to introduce them. Here, most of my coaching staff is here. A lot of them have to work. Danny Pardo, Rodney Morales, Noe Gonzalez, and Roy Rodriguez.
Thank you. Good to see you.
You so worked that. How are you?
You can come and help.
He can come on the volunteer. He'll come at ease.
That's right.
He's too young to retire. So how are we going to do this?
Come all the way to the back, please. Move back.
Shall we have some of them kneel down or will that work?
I think the photographer will tell us.
They're big boy. Gross. Oh. Can't see it. It was not necessary, but okay. He's trying hard.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Another one. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Okay,
way over there.
You ready? Yes. 1, 2, and 3. One more. 1, 2. Good. Perfect.
Got it? All right. Way to go, my king. Thank you, Ms. Longoria.
What's that?
Thank you.
Good
to see you.
Yeah, la cheerleader.
Hay muchos Longorias y muchos premios. Oh, no. I went to the game. They might move me back. Good to see you.
Moving on to item 3. Recognition of Perkins Middle School employee rendering aid. Dr. Montoya.
Mr. President, members of the board, we are having, in this case, a new award from the superintendent's office as we discover employees and others that have assisted our staff and students, literally saving lives at times. We'd like to recognize them. So I know, Ms. Garcia, you had some comments you'd like to share.
Thank you, Dr. Montoya. I'd like to let the public know and the community that we have great staff in our district. We really do. A lot of times people think that we don't realize what we have, but we know why we're such a good district, and it's because people that we have within the system. If we will continue to love our children and care for our students and respect, we will continue to grow throughout the meets and bounds that are expected from the national level and state level. But you know, we have an employee by the name of Yolanda Lopez who works for the Food and Nutrition Services. And there was an incident back in December that was brought up to my attention where this young student at that campus was literally choking. But thanks to Ms. Yolanda Lopez that knew how to react, and she reacted quickly to where she saved that child from having to go to probably the next level. She did the Hamlet, and she got to save the child from having to choke. So with all that said, I commend her for a job well done. And believe me that it takes a village to make things happen. And because you are that employee, I thank you for your dedication and for being there for our students. It shows that you really care. Dr. Montoya?
Ms. Lopez, if you're here, please step forward. We'd like to recognize you. Thank you. Please step forward.
Dr.
Ma'am, if you'd like to share any comments, you are welcome.
Yes, Dr. Montoya, thank you. At this time, we have a principal from Perkins Middle School and a student from Perkins Middle School that would like to assist with this very special presentations.
Good evening, Dr. Escobedo, Dr. Montoya, members of the board. I'm Blanca Lambarri, the proud principal at Perkins Middle School, and I have with me Christian Estrada. He's one of our students, and he will be presenting.
Good evening, Dr. Escobedo, members of the board, and Dr. Montoya. My name is Christian Estrada, and I am a member of Perkins Middle School student body. I am honored to have been given the opportunity to present you Ms. Yolanda Lopez, our cafeteria clerk. On December 16th, the day before we left for our Christmas holidays, one of Perkins' students was choking. Ms. Lopez did not hesitate and performed the Heimlich maneuver, dislodging the food from his throat and saving our friend's life. We are grateful because thanks to her quick intervention, she saved our peer's life and allowed the family the blessing of having a wonderful Christmas. Ms. Lopez, on behalf of Perkins Middle School, I present to you this plaque.
If you'd like to come forward, please come forward.
For everything. Forgot to do it an up and down day. For everything. Yeah. See, everyone has fun with a flight inside of you. She has. That's very good. Thank you once again, Ms. Lopez.
Moving along with two other recognitions in the Superintendent's Life Saving Champions Award. We had two in the Transportation Department. Ms. Garcia, if you'd like to. Let me see, is Mr. Rendon here this evening? Oh, Mr. Barbosa, I'm sorry. If you'd step forward, please, and introduce your two people and what occurred.
Good evening, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the board, public. We've had two heroes ourselves at Transportation, and I'd like to have them come up one at a time. Ms. Rosie Farias, one of our drivers. Rosie. Ms. Farias, I believe, is escorted by her son? Vino? Oh, okay. Ms. Farias took the occasion very much like our colleague, Ms. Lopez, earlier, of performing a Heimlich maneuver on a student, I believe dislodging a cord that was stuck in the student's throat. Had it not been for her quick reaction and selfless action, we may not have had that child with us today. So again, I think that on behalf of the community, on behalf of our department, on behalf of the school board, we want to thank Ms. Farias for a job well done. Thank you, Ms. Farias. Okay. Our next employee, Nelida Nelly Sepulveda. She's here with her friend, but Nellie also performed a selfless act. Last year, during the course of the school year, one of our bus drivers suffered an episode and had an accident where our bus had an accident with a fixed object, and Nellie took quick response and action. She went up to the front where the bus driver was, applied the brakes, was able to stop the bus and save that driver from possibly maybe even losing his life as well. And again, had it not been for her actions, we, again, would have had something negative press in the paper. But again, because of her selfless act and the fact that she acted so quickly, we saved our bus, we saved the driver, and we have her to thank for, again, a courageous effort. And again, we thank you on behalf of our department, the community, and again, on behalf of the school. Thank you.
If you'd like to come forward so we could come. Mr. Barbosa, if you'll come also.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I'd like to say thank you to these employees because they also did the intervention as it was needed. So I commend you for your hard work and all your efforts.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Muchísimas gracias. Muchísimas gracias por entrar en acción. We all have a fight or flight in us. That you all have to fight. No flight. Thank you so much. Gracias por todo.
Okay, we're still okay.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Los dos. A little further back. There we go. Thank you. Gracias.
And thank you to our employees for their heroic acts. Coming back to item 4, recognition of parental involvement, parents who have contributed their time to our students and schools in the district for over 20 years. Dr. Montoya.
We have 5 community people that have been assisting our students voluntarily in our schools for at least 20 years or over 20 years, and that's very commendable that they're able to be here and to assist our students in our various campuses during their career. So at this time, I'll mention the names, and I know Ms. Garcia, you wanted to also make some comments. Olga Perez from Champion Elementary, and I believe at Perkins. Dolores Alviar from Ortiz Elementary, if Dolores is here. Eloisa Mirales from Vela, if she is here. And Eloisa, excuse me. And Acacia Castillo from Hanna High School. And Ophelia Villarreal from Sharp Elementary. Over 100 years of experience in our public schools helping our students. That's commendable. Ms. Garcia?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Montoya. I know that when I put these agenda items there was because it really meant a lot to us as a board. It's not just only recognizing us as a board, but recognizing the people that dedicate their time and their efforts as community people. And I know that it takes time away from your home and from your family, but without you and the service that you have given to us voluntarily, our students wouldn't have had better days. You help the staff there. I've seen some of you at football games. Some of you have taken Police Academy. I believe there's some trainings or courses as well. So all that participation and all those efforts that you have put, trust me, someday one of those children or students will come back and remember you for all the work that you have done for them. And we thank you and we commend you and for all the years that you vested into this district. And once again, if you can just be that mentor to other parents to get involved and to participate, because we do need parental involvement. Thank you so very much for all your attention.
Thank you so much for you. Dolores is under. Dolores and Miss Pérez. Dolores is first and then Miss Pérez. And the other one's not here.
Gracias, Ms. Castillo.
Thank you por todo. ¿Cómo estás, señor?
Pizza. I love you for that. You made our life so enjoyable every trip we went.
Gracias por todo.
God will bless you with good things.
Thank you so much.
Eloisa no estaba.
And Miss Pérez. Pérez, yes. And yes, ma'am.
Good. Thank you.
Bajita la mano.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your dedication. Come on, a little further back, please. All the way back.
Ahí
Nice to meet you. She's a wonderful person.
Hey, awesome. Thank you for everything, man. I'm ready to go back to the kitchen. Hey, beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Let's see, Olga Peña. Olga Peña.
Just go a little further back. Just take a step back. A little bit. Un poquito más, Dolores. Just a little bit more, Dolores. Right there. There we go, Dolores. Look up, Dolores. I'll move. Got photographers behind it.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Again, thank you to our parental volunteers for their dedication, the time that you invest in our district. Moving on to item 6, presentation from delinquent tax attorney Rick Peña regarding all delinquent ad valorem taxpayers. Dr. Montoya.
Mr. President, members of board, this was a request from one of our board members, Miss Lucy Longoria. So, Miss Longoria.
Yes, Dr. Montoya. I requested this presentation just that the firm would give us an overview of how much is owed in delinquent taxes and how important it is to pay these taxes and or collect the taxes.
Good evening, Dr. Escobedo, board members. I just want to confirm, do you before I connect to the computer, if you guys all have a PDF files with a bunch?
Yes, yes.
Okay, just so we don't. When I got the request, I didn't know how to really approach it, but now that I heard Ms. Longoria, now I kind of can feel how we're going to go with this. I gave you a grand list of all delinquent accounts. It's 153 pages long, and it gives you whoever is delinquent. That list, we didn't exclude uncollectibles. We didn't exclude if they're in suit. I gave you all the accounts that I can collect from. And so I gave you the list. You can see it, search it. You'll see that on the first page, just to give you an idea of how we deal with the collections, we review these lists. We work down this row. The first page, 33 accounts. The first 2 counts, I don't want to go account by account, but on the first page, I'm going to give you just a quick rundown. You'll see that we have Border Aircraft Inc., 2 accounts that owes a little bit over $160,000. Those 2 accounts have been researched by my office. We addressed it. It turns out they're not uncollectible. As an appraisal district is going to be removing those accounts. Were assessed incorrectly. This is from the moment that ownership changed, and actually they're owned by the city of Brownsville since 1996. So you see these accounts and you see, wow, we have $160,000 in 2 accounts. They're going to be uncollectible. It's going to come off the roll. And we go just the same. Those 4 in the next 2 accounts, the same thing happened. Holiday Inn, and that's an account from 2003. The business went under. The inventory is gone. They're defunct. Can't collect from them. So I welcome you to look down the list. If you have questions, I also gave you additional accounts, and I broke them down into single years, 2 to 5, 5 to 9, and 10 and over. The single year accounts, right now we have a little over 1,500 accounts, which equal half the accounts. We have 3,500 accounts roughly owing that are collectible. They make up 1,500 of those are single year accounts. And the multiple year, the 10 years, they roughly account to 500 accounts. I broke them down per year, per account. That's why I left you the main list of accounts that you can reference back and forth. Now, as to the question of collections and how important it is, I understand that. That's why this past year, we ended the fiscal year $326,000 greater than we did the year before. So by focusing, and I explained before how we grab all these accounts, we put them on a spreadsheet, we run an analytic software to tell us where they all are, helped us increase our collections this past year. Now, we do go back and we do break it down, and we just don't go by high dollar, and we have to go to the high dollar accounts. We break it down into the 10-year ones and focus there. And these are the reports I kind of work off, minus our field notes on there. That would just jumble it all up. But from these reports, that's what we do. In addition, I'm going to provide Mr. Garcia our payment agreement list, just to give you an idea of all the payment agreements we have with the taxpayers, and those range from $100 to the high dollar amount. And I'm going to give you the break on the first 3 pages, so you just kind of have an idea where we are with these big accounts. And I apologize, this because the status changes daily. One account we sued, the other account we find in bankruptcy, so our codes change. So I finally got it down where I can give you at least the first 3 pages of the high dollar amount, and you'll know where the status is and the payment agreements. Our delinquent tax base for this year, I'll get to that real quick here. I apologize, I should have had it up. It was roughly $12 million in receivables. That is $12.32 million in receivables this year at the start of July 1st. That is what we have. And that's equal to what we almost had last year. So we stay consistent on our receivables. The year before, in 9-10, we had 11.6, and the year before that, 12.4. So that gives you an idea. We're closely around 12 million in receivables the last 4 fiscal years. And and we've been consistent in our collections. Well, this past fiscal year, we did increase to 36% over collections, and we did collect the $326,000 more than the year before. Any questions on the accounts that you saw them before that I can kind of answer for you?
Yes,
Mrs. Longoria?
Yeah, Mr. Peña, can you tell us roughly a grand total of the amount of delinquent taxes that are owed? Can you just give us a grand total?
This month or just the beginning?
This past year or for this year?
It's roughly $12 million.
$12 million.
Yes.
Okay, and what is the total that should be collected?
We are aiming for 36%. We try to match what we did the year before. Roughly 36% of that 12 million we want to collect.
Okay. And was that the percentage of delinquent taxes that you collected for this past year?
Yes.
36%?
Yeah, I want to match what I have or greater. But I remind you, with the formula I'm really going for, this is the heart. It's an analysis I've done for the 8 fiscal years, four that I've before me, and the 4 that I've had, is I'm seeking to collect 50% of the 3 most current tax years. The $12 million that are owed, 65% of those taxes, of that $12 million, are in the 3 most current tax years. So that's 2010, 2009, and 2008. Equal. And the receivables in those 3 years, roughly 65% of all the taxes due. So the goal in the end is, if I collect close to 50% of those 3 most current tax years, and I don't want to lose anybody, if I collect 50%, that equals close to 88% of all the taxes collected for that year. And that has been the formula for the last 8 years. So if finance asks me, Mr. Pena, give me a rough estimate, I can quickly tell them, let me get the total for the 3 most current tax years, multiply it times 50%, because that's what we've been averaging collections, and then do the simple equation of 87% of, dividing that by 8.87, and that gives them a good estimate of what we're collecting. And that has not changed for the last 8 years. Matter of fact, the last 4 years, we've increased it by almost a full percentage point. We've had to collect, it was before like 48%, now we have to collect 50 to make it up. Because, after the 07 tax year, when our tax rate dropped, our receivables didn't increase. We've been decreasing since 07 our receivables. We started in 07 at the $13.5 million, now we're at the $12 million. And since economic growth and we haven't raised our tax rate, we haven't been getting new receivables back in. Did the formula make sense?
Oh, we lost.
I mean,
kind of.
I apologize, but it's
I picked it up.
when I get passionate about it and I want to figure out, are we on track?
Okay.
And the trick is, where does the money come from? And the 3 most current tax years. And I need to collect 50% of the 3 most current tax years so that we can keep on average for the last 8 years.
Okay, and one more question. I noticed that list, it was like 150 some pages, and I noticed a lot of the individuals that are delinquent are businesses and people that still live here in town. What seems to be the problem? You're not being able to collect from them.
Well, not that we don't collect. When you see the list and it's a business, we either have them on payment agreement, especially a business. We don't try to shut down businesses because I'll be honest, I've done it before. We did it this past year, and the school district loses. I'll give you an example. I did a tax warrant on a bridal store, and we didn't have a choice. We did the tax warrant. The lady's not out of business. We didn't get all the money owed, and I told my staff, and they're like, and they real simple, we try to make her on a payment agreement, but when they close down, now we're stuck. I have a judgment against her. She's out of business, and we're just not going to get paid. So when it comes to a business, we really try to work hard on getting them in a payment agreement and keep them in business so we can get paid. Because we know we can go and get the inventory, but the inventory never equals what's due.
Right.
It just comes out. And some of the bigger businesses, when you see on the list, they're already closed. They left us right away. They left us before we even became delinquent. Before we even got to go out there, they're already gone. So we already have lawsuits filed against them. We're going to take judgments. Mm-hmm. But, it happened to us at the airport, on all the big warehouses. A lot of these companies from New Jersey, New York, just left us.
So out of all of these individuals that you have on that list that are delinquent, how many have you filed a judgment on them or foreclosed on their properties?
We average, suits annually average around 200. And it'll change per year how many judgments we take. Some years we file 300, some we file less than 200. I don't have a set number saying I need to file 200 suits, because then it just becomes a numbers game. And we have to be very careful with our district courts. They do not like us clogging their calendar. Some attorneys, I'll give an example, that are solo practitioners, they might have 20 cases in the courts, 30 cases. And we have 500 to 600 active cases. Where the judges are looking like, hey, you're clogging my docket. And they don't give us a time to work the account. So by the time I file a suit, we're making sure we know who's the defendant, who the lien holder is, that we're not going to collect them, then we're going to file a suit. So I don't put a number out there telling them, we're going to file 300 suits. No, it's how our system works on. We've prepared so much, because the truth is, once I file a lawsuit, the collection process is turtle pace now.
Okay, yeah, because I'm aware of several individuals that have received letters that if they don't get on a payment plan or if they don't pay, that their homes will be foreclosed. How many of those I know of some people have gotten letters, so I don't know if it's coming from your office or from our tax assessor. I don't know.
I carefully word my letters about foreclosure, because I explain, and the letter says, if you do not respond, we'll be forced us to file suit. And once I get the foreclosure list, that means I have taken a judgment, or I'm about to take judgment. Please come in to avoid foreclosure. Mm-hmm. I've only sold one property with a person living in there. Actually, and they had a chance to pay the taxes. They couldn't. It was just so much that they just abandoned the property. And that's the only one since I've been, and it just happened to us this fall. We gave them a chance to redeem it. We gave them over a year. We took judgment. We sold it. We gave them a chance to redeem it. They just couldn't do it. They couldn't get financing, so it was a small home. They abandoned it. And I'll be honest, it's only happened just one time. I tell my wife, I got to sleep at night. Right. And I don't feel comfortable selling people's homes.
And you treat every case the same?
Yes, ma'am. If it's high dollar to low dollar, because I have to be fair. If I'm asking a high dollar account, 1/3 down on a payment agreement, 1/3 down. There's no, and if it's the person who owes me $500 and they want to make a payment agreement, I ask 1/3 down. It's, excuse my language, parejos todos.
Right.
That's the only way.
I also noticed some accounts that owe very minimal, like 15, 16, 20. What happens with those accounts?
We still send letters up to $2. We send the letters and we try to, believe it or not, we do get some payments like that. I get some older ones, he goes, I'm sorry, and they send their older ladies, older gentlemen that are fixed income, they send us the checks. I don't stop sending letters. We send letters from $2 and up.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Dr. Saavedra?
Mr. Pena, you said that you were giving yourself the 3 most current years and collecting at least, you're shooting for the 65%, correct? But if you get the 50%, that's okay? Is that what I'm hearing?
Okay, no, the 3 most current tax years equal 65%
right.
of the receivables. I'm shooting to collect 50% of the 3 most current tax years, because I know from history they're going to equal 87 to 88% of the total collections. So when I hit that 50% of the 3 most current tax years, I'm on pace to equal what has happened historically over the last 8 years.
Okay. I guess my question, and maybe I'm looking at when would be your deadline that you're looking to collect this amount of money?
Well, we started on July 1st, and we end on June 30th. So we're fighting up to June 30th to collect, to meet those goals. It's a 12-month. process. You know, right away, the easy ones get paid off right away. The ones that get scared quickly, that are concerned, and then it's a fight from the last 9 months of the fiscal year.
Any other questions, Dr. Saavedra? Mrs. Garcia?
Go ahead, Doctor.
Mrs. Peña?
Yes, I know on this list, the people that are on this list, let's say they have a payment agreement with Tony Aguirre's office. You still send them letters, am I correct? If they have an agreement with the...
If you have an agreement with the tax assessor collector before it went delinquent, which means before it got...
Before July 1st, let's say.
Before July 1st, before it becomes it's obligated to me to collect, those accounts do not get sent to me by Mr. Arcigueta's office.
So if someone is owed some delinquent or some taxes, let's say last year's taxes, the public can go to Tony Aguirre's tax office, make an agreement for the taxes they owe before July 1st, then you don't see those accounts and you don't get any interest at all from those accounts because the interest and penalty goes completely to the tax office. You are out of the picture completely, am I correct?
Right. By law, I cannot send letters or collect on those accounts because they're not assessed attorney's fees. They do not get turned over to me for collections. That is a safeguard that it's in the statute to allow people to encourage people to get into payment agreements with the assessor, and so they cut the attorneys out, which is the right, because if they went in and set up the payment agreement, which they're entitled to.
So is it like automatically that you don't send those letters out? Because I've heard of people that have the agreement with the tax office, but they still get the letters from the attorney. Is that just maybe?
When we get over 4,000 accounts, sometimes they're not coded correctly because if it comes with the code saying TPA, we know that's Mr. Arcigueta's office, and it's supposed to be purged from our list, and sometimes they don't get purged. And I did it. I sent it to a couple of taxpayers, and I went in and made sure that they're coded and they're out because I cannot assess some attorney's fees on their account.
Yeah, because it serves of no purpose to spend time with the letter
Right,
and the
and I have no authority to collect from them. So
Any other comments or questions, Mrs. Perez?
Okay. In the past 3 years, this district has paid Bang & Associates LLP $2,103,979, or with the collections. That is how much we show that's been collected on behalf of the firm. My question is, how do we deal with a situation when someone has failed to pay and the district has to take a hit because there was only a certain time period that we could go back and collect? Would you call that fair to our system, to our students, to our employees, to the taxpayers, that they have been asked to be put on a list like this? So my question is, how would we deal with that when we lose revenue? Because we're talking about revenue here. We're talking about how much can we collect, how much have we collected, and when I see this list with all these people that owe, you're talking from the 90s to 20,000 to 17,000, and the way that districts are going in the state of Texas and throughout the nation, we have to make sure that we get the most. So you're talking about percentage, and you say that within the 3 most current months, you're shooting for 65%?
No. The 3 most current tax years, which right now would be 2010, 2009, 2008, equals 65% of all the receivables the school district. So 65% of the $12 million are from the 3 most current tax years. And those are one of the ones we go after.
I think to reiterate Mrs. Garcia's question, when there's money that we downright cannot collect, period, that's just money that we don't collect. So we don't lose it, but we simply do not gain it, which is similar but different. Am I correct?
Correct. And we still try to collect. We still try to get judgment in case the business or that person tries to get a loan. We have the judgments. We just don't let the account, it's gone, it's old, well, let's leave it alone. No, we go after it as hard and as efficient as we can to get those accounts in.
For what period of time?
As long as we have the accounts, we keep going. We don't stop.
Okay.
We don't stop.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board?
No, the only comment, I guess, is if we look in retrospect of the 12 million, that 65%, you're looking at $7,800,000?
Right.
Okay. So that's what additional revenue we're hoping to get between now and June?
No, it's the whole year. You know, that's the
year.
Yeah, the whole year.
Well, but it ends in June, no?
Right. Yeah.
So
By
it
June.
is possible that 7,800,000.
No. The 7 million of the 65% of the 12, which I'm sorry, if it's a 7 million, we're hoping to collect from 48 to 50% of that money, of that 7 million.
So roughly half of that.
Half of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're roughly trying to collect half of that.
All right.
And
Thank
I
you.
have one last question.
One final question.
Just one final question. When people owe taxes or fees and late fees and all the extra fees, are they waived by your office or by who are they waived by?
I have no authority to waive fees. Actually, no one can waive the fees. Not even, they have to, not even the tax assessor has authority to waive the fees. They're always assessed. I can't even waive my attorney's fees. The collection fees can't even be waived.
Ms. Peña?
On a note that during this conversation, I hear that, I'm sorry, I have such an old computer, it's real noisy. The disk. Yeah, the district doesn't pay you anything to do this tax collection. Do we? None of our money goes to you. Am I correct? Or
Correct.
just
The only monies I received are from the monies I collect.
so then none of that money would pertain to us because that's just your interest that you have on your
That's
contract.
the assessed fee on top of what is owed in base and penalty and interest. So the school district gets base plus penalty and interest.
And what is that percentage?
It depends on what month is due. It's
Okay.
calculated per month.
What is 12.5% is what goes to
It
the
can
attorney
go-
fees?
No, attorney fees, yes.
Yeah, I'm talking attorney
12
fees.
Oh, I'm sorry, 12.5% comes.
Oh, that goes to
we
you,
have that on our
but that's
booklet.
money we're never going to see. That's just part of, okay, because
Right.
we don't give you any of our money is what I'm
No,
saying.
there's no.
Mrs. Longoria?
Mr. Peña, how much has your firm collected for these past 12 months in penalties?
In assess, I mean, as an
Or
attorney.
in collecting the delinquent taxes?
Oh, let me pull that up for you. We're in. Sorry, my computer's a little slow.
Yeah, we're collecting the delinquent taxes.
I apologize. I'm a little slow. My computer's a little. We've collected close to base amount around $2 million. $2.7 million have been collected. And I'm sorry, I'm watching my computer.
That's how much your firm collected?
No. That's base has been collected. You're asking how much base tax has been collected?
No, your firm. How much have you collected out of for collecting delinquent taxes? Because you collect once you.
You mean the interest, their interest?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Whatever he gets, because.
His percentage, you mean? The interest? I
Would
think
be-
she means the interest, the percentage that your firm collects.
Oh, yes, it would be, I'm sorry, let me ask mine. It is, if it's around 300,000
The last 12 months.
in
Okay.
attorney
Mrs.
fees.
Longoria? Mrs. Presas?
Thank you.
We have one final question.
Yes, I have here a report date from 6/30 of 2009 to run date 1/17 of 2012. Brownsville Independent School District vendor summary report, and it was. Where did this report come from? Can somebody, administration, Dr. Montoya, please?
Mr. Garcia, I think you may need to step up here to look at it, or we hand it to him to check exactly where this particular item came from.
Okay, so let me correct Ms. Peña, please, because for the record, this record was given to me for our BISD Finance Department, which means that these payments have been paid to Peña and Associates LP. That was my last question. Just for the record,
Okay,
I did state what was
Let's
needed.
just move on. Thank you, Mr. Peña.
If I may, just
Mrs.
30
Peña,
seconds,
we're not getting
15
anywhere. Okay, one
seconds.
final comment.
Yes, and this is for the community. The community needs to know this. If they owe taxes and they can't go and pay $30,000 up front, everyone in the community needs to know you can go to the taxpayers, to Tony Saguirre's office, make an agreement with them before July 1st, and the attorneys will see no interest. No, I'm sorry, no offense to you, but you don't have to pay the attorneys 1 penny of interest. You give all the money to the tax collector, and he distributes it to the county, the city, and the district. And that way, a lot of people don't know they can go there and make an agreement at the tax office and save that 12.5 or that 15% interest. They need to be aware of that.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Peña and Mr. Peña. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Moving right along to item 7, presentation of Special Education Ad Hoc Committee. Dr. Montoya.
Mr. President, members of the board, we have a committee, a special ed ad hoc committee that meets periodically to advise us and give us some ideas in reference to areas of special education. The chairperson, Mr. Sergio Zarate, who has become a very positive advocate for improving services not only in our community but in our schools in the area of special needs students. Mr. Zarate.
Mr. Zarate?
Yes, thank you. Superintendent Montoya, President Escobedo, members of the board, staff, my name is Sergio Zarate, and I am here on behalf of the Ad Hoc Committee over Special Services. I also like to always say that I'm here on behalf of the 5,300 plus students that you have in Special Services. Before that...
Mr. Zarate, if you could with the mic a little louder, sir.
I will. Before I begin, I wanted to say that on behalf of the School Board Member Month, we meant to order you some Lamborghinis.
2 inches or 3 inches long? Hot Wheels or another brand?
Unfortunately, Mrs. Moore understood linguini, so that's plates for you back there.
Linguini Lamborghini. That's a good one.
First of all, I want to tell you that these members that are part of this committee are very committed, they're caring, and they're passionate. We understand, we always seem to discuss that what we're doing here today, whenever we meet, is on behalf of those kids. Kids that we know as parents. Some are teachers, some are retired teachers that are in the district. We have professors that teach your special education teachers of tomorrow. You have a professor that teaches your physical education teachers of tomorrow. And so we all kind of collaboratively put this together. Before I begin on this short presentation, I wanted to let you know that with Mrs. Moore, with Mrs. Peña, with Mr. Garcia, their staff, we couldn't have asked for anybody better. We ask her questions and they get answered. And if we don't get the answers, they go out and find them. And they still don't find answers. We get an apple and a cookie, right? But they've been very forthcoming, and we just wanted to make sure that you understood that when we ask those questions, it comes from us, and they're very good about, getting back with us and getting everything that we need. Part of this endeavor of doing this, and we're very thankful for you to start this, was there was no book that told us how to go about doing this. So how do you decide what's more important in special education? I mean, it's all over the place, from transportation to, aquatics, everything. So when we started meeting, we started asking, give us some pointers, give us where you think you would like this to be. And therein, there was a problem where you gave us 16 members. I believe it was 2 each one. And we'd have some trouble sometimes meeting the quorum. Having said that, it was also probably the best time that we would have just a discussion period with the members that did show up, and we'd pick up so many items for the next meeting. And that's where we ended up coming up with those first items on there. I'm going to read to you some of the questions that came forward and that were asked of this department. And there's no particular way this goes down. How are students selected for ESI, the Extended School Year Services? We needed to know a number of special ed students by disability. Where are we in our physical speech therapy programs? Are we meeting our timelines? Procedures on students going to the Brownsville Academic Center. discussions on CBVI transportation, referral and the evaluation process, explanation of the purpose of the prior written notice, the Vocational Adjustment Coordinator Program. We asked for and got many presentations on those, also on the early childhood intervention programs for children under 3, the response to intervention process and the impact this program can have on the reduction of special education referrals, the inclusion and content mastery programs and the impact that these programs can have on students' instruction, and the presentation of Special Olympic program, where and how this is funded. We needed to know, why it had lost some of its funding. In the process, every time we make a presentation, things come out, and we hopefully have bettered that department. Notes are taken and immediately put in. One of the things that we had talked about is the funding, and SHARS is one of those main ones that we addressed right off the back. And I think that Mrs. Moore, they have gotten a more compact version of how to fill out those forms, and I think we're going to see a better money back this coming year. We also asked that there be a central location where all our equipment be. A lot of time a child would go through the school year and he'd leave the school system or the district, and that equipment would stay in that campus. And sometimes it'd go in the closet, sometimes it'd go somewhere in the gym. And then when we needed it at another campus, we knew we had it on the on our inventory, but we just couldn't find it. So we asked that it be a central location where we could inventorize everything and have it right away, and that has happened. Some of the things that are coming up, we're working on a possible expansion of the elementary music program, because some of the elementaries don't have them. Also, the expanded use of the adapted aquatic pool. People may think the aquatic pool might be something to have fun, and that's where most kids do have fun. But a child in a wheelchair who gets in the water, it changes his whole personality. Everything, his fingers move, the toes, he's weightless, and it's a program that I see every year in the summer, and it's something that we have to do for them. Also in the adapted PE program, we've asked to, we do service a number of kids in our Special Olympics, but we also have even more kids out there that can benefit from adapted PE program on a daily basis. So that's kind of where we're at this point. We did cut the number down of the board members that were originally there because we just couldn't meet some of these months. We called them several times. Some had never shown up to the meeting. Some had shown up once and could not make it. The ones that were asked to be dropped from the program said they had other commitments, even within the district. So it's nothing against anyone that was to serve. However, we needed to bid quorum, and at this point we have 9 members, along with Ms. Moore and staff. I'm going to ask that if you do consider adding members, if this is something that you would like to do, just to make sure that they understand the commitment that it takes. And we usually do about 2 hours, 2.5 hours when we have our meeting. And so if you do that, then just make sure that these members understand the importance of this. Okay?
Thank you very much, Mr. Sarate. Mrs. Longoria?
Yes, Dr. Montoya, Mr. Sarte, thank you so much for giving us an update. I was the one that had requested this agenda item. And Dr. Montoya, if you could please take the committee's ideas, suggestions, with administration to work together and improving things for our special needs students.
And Mr. Sarate, I think you and I were going to set up a meeting sometime soon to visit on various issues so we can go over these items and see what's feasible and see what we can do.
Yes. Mrs. Peña?
And Dr. Montoya, if I may, he brings up a good point where a lot of people that were put on the committee, that each board member put 2, and I know a lot of them aren't showing up, and they've expressed the inability to go because of other commitments. So can you send us the list, all board members, of who is showing up and who is not. That way we can remove them. And I think we decided, or did we decide we're going to do one member per board member instead of two, the way we had it? Because I think that's what they recommend, because it's easier to get a quorum with a smaller number. And we want to help them, not,
Mr. Zarate, maybe since you folks can create that list, of the group that has been attending
so we can know
meetings.
And you could email it to the superintendent's office.
Sure will.
Again, thank you, Mr. Zarate, for your time and dedication. Moving right along to item 8, presentation by the City of Brownsville Heritage Officer and discussion regarding the Madison Street properties. Dr. Montoya.
Mr. President, members of the board, I know at one of the previous meetings, one of the questions arose, how are facilities in the Brownsville community declared historical sites? And we asked the person that works that area to come over and share some information. And then I think, Mr. Haynes, if you'll also briefly talk about the Madison Street properties and some of what's going on with that.
Good evening, Dr. Montoya, Dr. Escobedo, members of the board. My name is Joe Gavito. I'm the Heritage Officer for the City of Brownsville. This is not fair for tall people. You know that? You realize that? We have to... It's all right. Good evening.
Good point. Point well taken. We'll fix it.
Continue, sir. You have the floor.
Yes. The reason I'm here is to try to give you some of my jargon and lift the veil of secrecy. Let's show the map first, please. For some reason, the city was smart enough to name this the 011. And why is it the 011? Just to make it a mystery. But the 011 is the Heritage Overlay District. And this is all of West Brownsville. This is Palm Boulevard here. This is Los Ebanos. This is the downtown area. Here's the Gateway Bridge and the B&M Bridge. This here is all university property. So this is the current 011 for the Heritage Department. What does that mean? It means that any time that anyone inside the 011 it goes to Building Permitting Department for a permit, either for demolition, new construction, or maintenance and repairs, a review committee or the staff will assist them and either give a release letter if it's a maintenance item. If it's a roof, I have the authority to give him a release letter, and he's off to Building Permitting to get his permit. If it's a historic site, then it goes to the Heritage Council, which is made up of 7 members. The next, just a second. Yeah, the image is fine. In 2001, we had a survey done of historic resources, and so some of the so all sites were identified in the 011 that I just showed you, and specifically, I want to point out to this block here of downtown. This would be Madison Street, and this is Monroe. This is 12th, and this is 11th. That's the 1912 Oscar Dancy Courthouse, and it's got a number. That's a state site. The building that the BISD owns is as 305, and it shows that the adjacent lots are vacant. Even though there's been some construction there, there are non-contributing buildings on that parking lot that's adjacent. Excuse me, that's adjacent to that site. Can I have the next page, please? Each number on that survey has an individual sheet, and it tells me some information about that property. The building that you own on the corner of the 11th Street and Madison, it was approximately built in 1925, and it was Garcia, Gomez, and Champion wholesale grocery store. So that's the history of that, and it shows that it's in the right location. It's got the right design. It's got the setting. The material and workmanship, it needs work, and that's why I didn't make any marks on that. But association, certainly being across the street from the Oscar Dancy Courthouse, and the feeling is there. So the priority for this secondary local site is a high priority. Can I have the next slide? There's one more, and I'll be brief. And this is 1912 Heritage Plan. I'll be bringing it to you next month, hopefully. And I just wanted to show you the categories table of contents. These are the classification or designations for historic preservation. You have federal sites, and to give you an example, it would be the Immaculate Conception Church is a federal site. It's a National Register of Historic Places. You go through the National Park Service to get that designation. You use the executive director of the Texas Historic Commission is the gatekeeper for that application. If you're a state site, and the Madrileña is a state site, recently Sacred Heart Church became a state site, and that it's the Cameron County Historic Commission that's a gatekeeper to the Texas, and the applications turn into the Texas Historic Commission for that state designation. We have a local designation of primary local site, and that's a historic importance to us. And there's the total number of federal, state, and primary local sites is about 60 to 65 individual sites that actually get historic tax exemption. Obviously, there's more because, to give you an example, Immaculate Conception would be a federal site, but it's a church, and so it's tax exempt. Similar, the post office downtown, the federal court is owned by the city. So those are state sites, but no loss of revenue as far as you're concerned because it's already tax exempt. And then there's two categories, secondary local and potentials. Secondary locals have all the restrictions that the others have. If it's a secondary local site, and that if you recall that number, that 305 that I showed you on your building, on the corner of 11th and Madison, is a secondary local site, and it would have the same restrictions as the primary local, which would it only means that it goes to the Heritage Council for a review process. And we have worked well in the past to accommodate both the property owner to come to a consensus as to what is the proper historic preservation for those particular buildings. So if you have any questions, I'm here to answer.
Any comments or questions? Mrs. Garcia?
We have some buildings, Dr. Montoya, perhaps.
Well, I think that's for the second part of our presentation.
Okay,
Should we just continue, Dr. Montoya?
If there's any other questions.
Any questions for him? No? Dr. Montoya, can we continue?
I want to take this opportunity to thank Cesar Garza for inviting me, and thank you for letting me give you a presentation.
Thank you very much, sir.
For the next part of this, Mr. Haynes, if you'd like to talk a little bit briefly about the Madison Street properties and also the James Murphy building.
Mr. Haynes.
Thank you, Dr. Montoya. Thank you. Dr. Escobedo, Dr. Montoya, members of the board. This time I would like to call Mr. Cesar Garza. He's going to have a presentation on the Madison buildings. We're looking for you all to kind of look at the options that are available that we can try to work with these buildings to make them productive.
Thank you, Mr. Haynes. President Escobedo, board members, Dr. Montoya. I'll start with the first building, which is at 1102 Madison, and it's just exactly the building that Mr. Gavito was talking about. Is the two-story building, which is a secondary site. And I'll go briefly through the picture just so you see the conditions these buildings are in, both outside and inside. There's another view from the east side. One of the things I had discussed with Mr. Gavito are the windows, and being a secondary site, we would have to do work on those windows to bring them to the Heritage Council's approval. There's the back side of the building, and again, we have windows boarded up, and those would have to be worked on if we decide to do any work on the building. This on the back side, we actually have a parking area on the back of that building, and you'll also see where the truck is. That's the parking lot between that building and our other small building, and we do have parking area. And just another view of the parking area. This is inside the first floor, the two-story building. As you can see, there's some work that needs to be done. Especially, we're concerned about roof leaks. There looks to be a lot of water damage. Also on the floors and walls. There's another water damage on the ceiling and inside the light. Some of the areas also we need to look at the insulation and the ductwork. More water damage you can see on the walls. We actually have mold growing inside the wall. There's another corridor. That back room.
I'm sorry, Mr. Garza, you have the floor.
Excuse me?
Please continue.
Oh, yeah, so I just want to give you a few pictures of where there's mold inside the building. Another concern we have to do would be check all the electrical. You can see electrical panels, telephone areas, data lines. This is on the second story of the building. You can see also on the electrical lighting. This is an inside view of the windows that we would have to do work on, and obviously on the restrooms. The other building is the building adjacent. It's at 1124 East Madison. This is the front view of the building. Inside, actually, this building is in a lot better shape. Smaller building. We really didn't see too much water damage, per se. Restrooms look to be in better shape. And the third building is across the street, 1048 East 11th, the front view of that building. Like I said, we do have parking on this building also. This is a view inside the building. There are some items that I guess were left there since it was vacated. Again, electrical is a concern, some of the wiring. There's another building. There's actually a safe in there. I'm not sure if there's anything in there. And restrooms look to be in better condition. There's just a view of one of the corridors. And again, we need to check the lights. But this building actually is also in better building compared to the other three. One of the things I guess Mr. Haynes will expand a little bit about is, different options we can use with the buildings. Briefly, I just want to show the Murphy building. We could also discuss this with Mr. Gavito before. At the present time, the maintenance department is getting quotes to actually repair the building and then come to the board with the quantities. And I just want to show you a brief outside and inside the building for those who haven't seen it. You can see some of the damage on the glass blocks from the fire. It's on the south side of the building. Inside the building, everything has been taken out. We did have a structural engineer look at it. The steel structure you see here is in good shape, the white one. But let me show you some of the roof itself will have to be all replaced. That's some of the quotes that the maintenance department's getting for us now. And this is where the fire was right underneath. There's about 5 joists that have to be replaced completely. So there's still a lot of work to be done there once we get the pricing. Is there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Garza, for that great presentation. I believe Mrs. Longoria worked in one of those historical buildings back when it was built.
Now 3 buildings.
Mr. Aguilar?
I noticed, of course, the Murphy building, but I understand that you people have already looked into this, and the insurance gave you a set of money, close to 300 plus. And I understand if we were to do it in-house, it would cost around 400,000 plus. And if we do it in-house, the insurance will give you additional 75,000. Is that correct?
I don't know,
Mr. Haynes or Mr.
Dr. Montoya? Dr. Montoya?
Okay, Mr. Haynes, if you want to try to answer that one on the insurance part of it.
On the
Does anybody know?
Okay, Mr. Garcia, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes,
Mr. Garcia.
Dr. Montoya, Dr. Escobedo, to answer your question, you are correct, Mr. Aguilar. We have received approximately those amounts in insurance, and yes, there is an additional about $75,000 that if we do invest in fixing up the building, we would get that additional money. what I think Mr. Garza kind of alluded to it is they're working on getting a total package to see, I mean, a total budget as to how much it will cost to put the whole thing back together or renovate it.
I also understand that also that if we do it in-house, all this requirement that it takes for to be insured for windstorm or whatever it is, it would be accepted by the insurance companies.
I do not have the answer for that particular question.
Mr. Garza, can you answer it?
No, sir, I do not know.
Okay, well, let me, any other?
Director Escobedo, then perhaps people need to start working together and some of this, because here we get information and they would come here to the board and they got 3 people coming all different things. And what is it then?
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Aguilar. Mrs. Presas?
Okay. Perhaps what we can do is we can start figuring a date for the facilities. This is something that we need to start looking at. Let's prepare at that. I'll send some questions so we can make sure that we bring this together between the facilities and maintenance and CFO and Mr. Haynes and the committee who's on facilities. On another note, so make a note that we need to start looking into that. Windstorm certification, what you need to do, I'm going to give you a website, and we can get that information automatically from the state. There is a website for windstorm certification. Some buildings are grandfathered depending on the age of the building, and it's got to be certified. There's an engineer, and I think there's only like about 3 in the valley, and one of them is Mr. Day. He's out of Harlingen, and he's one of the, I believe, one of the best ones that we have here in the valley. And Mr. Day has gas engineering, I believe, out of Harlingen, and he does a lot of the engineering for the big commercial buildings. Well, so maybe we can look into that, and then maybe he can come and let us know, or go out there and find, people that can let us know. But I know that the web page for the windstorm, the state of Texas, that can answer all our questions there.
Mr. Haynes? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
On the Murphy building, we do have an engineer that's working on the roof and is working on for windstorm, so they can be certified. So we do have not an exact price of how much it would cost the district to remodel the Murphy building. We are waiting for the roof. An engineer is working on a design just to make sure that the whole building is going to be windstorm certified. So we are in the process of that. That's the only thing that's stopping us right now from
holding you back,
coming to the board and telling you this is how much it's going to cost.
Okay, that's good enough. I have a question. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I knew you had the answer, sir. We just didn't give you the time. But on another note, Mr. Garza, I noticed that the building on Madison is really deteriorated. You have probably air conditioned. Do you have, like, more or less, can you just make a note that when we have the facilities meeting, if you can kind of say plumbing needs to be looked at, electrical needs to be looked at. Obviously, there's a lot of mold around the building.
That's correct.
That's a concern. The investment, I don't think it's going to be less than $60,000. I foresee a lot more than that. It's an older building. You have plumbing concerns also.
Right.
So if we can prepare, gentlemen, Dr. Montoya, and have this, and then I'll give you a date. I'll send you an email because I'm the chair of the facilities, and then maybe our colleagues can, we'll all be better set, and we know the ins and outs of everything. But I'm concerned about that Madison building. It seems like it needs a lot of work, and I don't think $60,000 is going to cut it. Our budget is kind of tight right now, and we need to look at other areas that we've been discussing amongst us board members of other issues that have come across and we need to focus on. So we're going to start prioritizing. I know that the Murphy building does need to be repaired, but with all that said, if we can just prepare.
Yeah, if we can have, I think what Mrs. Presas is asking for is a status report and an appraisal. And I'm sure that we've already been in communication with county officials. I know they have an interest in some of these buildings and see what it is that they have to offer in return. Possibly something could be worked out with them. Any other comments or questions? If not, we move on. Thank you, Mr. Garza.
Thank you.
We move on to item 9. Presentation of 2010-2011 Academic Excellence Indicator System, District and Campus Reports. Dr. Montoya.
President Escobedo, members of the board, this is a yearly piece of information that we must share with you. Again, the AEIS report, which does have general information in various areas on the district, as well as the individual campuses. So at this time, Mr. Vasquez, as you get set up, you please present your part of this.
Mr. Vasquez is going to give us the highlights, correct?
That's correct.
Condensed form, Mr.
Condensed form.
And Ben. Condensed version.
Dr. Escobedo, Dr. Montoya, and board members. We're getting ready here. You all received the CD. It is the Academic Excellence Indicator System. The AIS pulls together the wide range of information on the performance of the students in each school and district in Texas every year. Let's go to page 3. On page 3, you will see where the 2011 accountability ratings are set up for the district. You also have a breakdown that goes all the way to 2006. On the bottom part of that page, it gives you your campus ratings for last year, 2011. On page 4, we are looking at our campus enrollments. And as you can see, we have one campus that's higher than 2,500 students and all the way to the 500 to 799 students we have in this district. We have a total last year of 54 campuses. On the other one, it basically gives you the type of campuses that you have in this school district. And as you can see there, we increased by one high school because of the early college we just started and put into the system. On page 4, it gives you the breakdown of the students by ethnicity and economic status. As you all know, in the school district, 98.6% of our students are Hispanic, 95.4% of our students are economically disadvantaged. The next section gives you a great span of, and as you can see, 38.6% of our students are at the elementary school when you look at the whole spectrum of the district. And then it gives you students by special programs. The main special programs that we have in this district is special ed, bilingual, career tech, and gifted and talented. On page 5, this where you go into how the students did on the tax testing last year. The first category there, you're talking about all students and all tests taken. And you can see that Brownsville was at 73% compared to the region at 71%, compared to the state at 76% of all students passing. The next category, you have your special POPs, and it gives you how the special eds, the LEPs, and the at-risk students did, and on the second section, it gives you how they did in comparison to the state. The next section is participation. This is basically telling you that 96.5% of our students participated in the test, and then you have different categories as to why they might have not participated in the test. Could have been they were absent, they were exempt, and other factors that are involved when you have that breakdown. A new category that came in this year was the English Language Learning Progress Indicator. And this is basically looking at our students that are in the bilingual area moving up to the English proficiency. So that's a new section that was added on to the system. On page 6, and here's where page 6 and 7 is where we fall back 1 year. Because when you're looking at your graduation class of 2010, you always look at the graduation class the year before the year that was set up. And then you also have the type of graduation that the students participated in. And then you have the Texas Success Initiative. Basically, that's telling you how many of your graduates were ready for higher education. And it gives you the percentages there. And then it also gives you your college admission results for the district. And as you can see there, it gives you their raw scores on the SAT and the ACT. On the next page, you're talking about attendance rates. In BISD last year was 95.9%. On the completion rate for the class of 2010, you have the district completion rate, and then you look at it, the region and the state, but then you also have it by the special POPs that we have here, special ed, economically disadvantaged, and LEP. On your dropout rate, which is calculated between the 7th and 8th grade, as you can see there, by the district, it's only 0.2 of a point. So that's how the state looks at the dropout rate. On the next page, page 8, you're basically looking at your staff in this district. It tells you, number one, the full-time personnel in the district and what their average salaries might be for the different categories. You're also looking at the fact that you have teacher profiles. So you're looking at ethnicity and gender. And then you're looking at teacher higher degrees. I know that you're going to look at the fact that there's 16.5 individuals that might not have a degree, and you're looking here at some of your techs at the high schools, technologies, and like auto mechanics and stuff like that, and your ROTC individuals. They don't have to have a degree to teach the course. On the next page, we get to the financial budget that we had last year. It breaks it up. It tells you how much you got local, how much is state, how much is federal, what the total was, and then you have a pie system there and shows you what percentages came into it with each pie. On your budget, on page 10, it gives you a complete breakdown as to how much money went into what area. 56.9% of the budget that you all put together last year went into instruction. It's there. And the total expenditures per pupil in this district is $11,175. The next page, page 11, is a disciplinary action. I know it's kind of small, but there you have the whole breakdown as to the disciplinary actions that were taken this year, and it gives you all the explanations on the bottom, and it tells you all the schools and every student that might have, number of students that you received some sort of disciplinary action. And on page 12, it gives you a breakdown of the removals from each campus and for what reason and to where they were removed to. Okay? And on page 13, you have your violent intervention procedures and your violent violations procedures programs. So, as Dr. Escobedo said, it was a brief presentation. The CD that you all have will now be placed at every campus. Every campus will get a CD with their own profile of their campus first. And then we will give a copy to the Public Information Office. We will put it on the website, and we will distribute it to the libraries in the district. And also, any person that would want to come to the personnel office and want a copy of the CD, they can get a copy of the CD.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vasquez. Moving on to item 10, presentation of Brownsville Independent School District financial report for the period ended September 30th, 2011 and October 31st, 2011. Any questions from the board? If not,
Sir, you're like, no offense, you're just cutting off necks.
That's okay.
I didn't even, thank you very much. You did a wonderful.
We're having a curriculum meeting. I'll bring
right. Well, nobody indicated a question, so I moved along.
That's okay.
Yeah, nobody indicated that they had a comment or a question. That's why I moved
That's
on.
okay.
Thank you, Mr. Vasquez.
Okay,
thank you, Mr.
and
Vasquez.
I did say thank you.
I just wanted him to clarify what the purpose of this report is, because I think it's important for the public to know.
Sir, would you tell the public what's the significance?
So the public can know the significance of why we get these reports, the AEIS.
This report is a report that's put out by the state, and it is a state requirement that we do a public information presentation. So when we do a public information presentation to the board, since it's being broadcast and we have an audience here, that takes care of both situations. So it's important for the public to understand, number one, where your budget money is going, and also how your students are doing in the district, and how every other facet of the district is occurring.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Thank you, sir. I just wanted that stated.
Thank you again, Mr.
Thank
Vasquez.
you for your presentation.
On item, nobody had questions. Item 11, presentation of the Brownsville Independent School District Quarterly Investment Report for the period ended June 30th, 2011 and September 30th, 2011. Any questions from the board? If not, we move on to item 12, presentation of the Brownsville Independent School District Quarterly Consultant Report for the first quarter of fiscal year 2011-2012. Questions from the board? If not, we move on to item B, standing board agenda items, board calendars. Dr. Montoya.
Mr. President, members of the board, just very briefly, upcoming on the 28th of January, on Saturday, the Texas Chess Association is having a scholastic championship, here in the district. There's also on January 31st a curriculum committee at 5:30 scheduled, and on February 1st the employee benefits committee meeting that they have, and that is all on the announcements.
Thank you, thank you, Dr. Montoya. Our next item on the agenda is a public audience. The next item is the public comment period. This is a time for citizens, staff, or students to provide their comments to the board. Statements and questions from the audience will not be permitted during other portions of this meeting, so please let us hear from you now if you have comments to present. To have your comments heard tonight, your name and the subject matter of your comments must appear in the sign-in sheet, which is located in the rear of the meeting room. Each speaker will be limited to 5 minutes to complete his or her comments, and with all due courtesy, this time limit will be strictly enforced. If a group of people want to be heard on the same topic, the board asks that they designate a spokesperson to avoid needless repetition. The board has adopted rules to preclude the abuse of open forum by, for example, anyone uselessly repeating the same comment or complaint meeting after meeting. All participants must understand that if your comment, in my judgment, constitute a complaint against an employee or an officer, I will interrupt you and ask you to proceed with BISD formal grievance procedures, be that DGBA, FNG, or GF local. With those cautions in mind, we will not proceed. And I'm sorry, I'm having a difficult time reading the handwriting. It seems like the name is GEB, Jeb, or GEB.
George. It's George
Borreguito. And the matter is school board either recognition or budget. I'm not sure.
Did I write that bad?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank God for computers in the classroom. The Association of Brownsville Educators, 4,200 strong, appreciates what you do. We know you don't get paid, although you got a lot of compensation today, right?
Yes, sir, definitely.
Once a year. But we appreciate what you do all year, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
The budget process has begun, and we hope to be at the table with you as we embark on this probably another perilous year with the state telling us we're going to have less money and less money and less money. And then Governor Perry, thank God he's not going to get it, but he wanted to, let's see if I remember correctly, he wanted to do away with the Department of Education.
Uh-huh. That shocked me.
As if this country was not founded on anything but education for all at no charge, except to the property owners. So, Smiley, we hope to be with you, and we want to be in the process with you, so that if you take any hits politically, we'll be there with you too. Okay? I was at the budget meeting yesterday, and the TASB report was interesting, and I hope it's not a signal that we're going to be doing away with a lot of positions, because as Ms. Pena pointed out, they took into consideration all districts, good, bad, or mediocre, but not the accomplishments. And if you plan to have students excel, you must invest. You must invest, because otherwise our return will drop. Yes, we'll save a lot of money, but our returns will drop where it counts, and that's in the student success. So let's stay together on this. Let's work hard on a good budget. If there's money for a raise, wow, that'll be good. Is there? You're not allowed to answer. You can shake your head, though. Thank you very much. By the way, I'm almost back. I'm working in the process of getting my paperwork so that I can go back to the classroom. I miss my kids.
Well,
and
God
you
bless
all
you.
too.
Come back soon.
Thank you, Mr. Borrego. Moving on to item 14, closed minutes pursuant to Texas Government Code, Section 551.0 074 and 082. The board goes to closed session to hear level 3 grievance number 003-11/12. The board reconvenes after closed session. Moving on to item 15, board action on level 3 grievance number 003-11/12. Do I hear a motion?
I motion as per the discussion. No motion. Oh, dice.
Okay, so I have a motion for no motion.
No action.
I like that. Do I have a motion? With no motion on the table, the item dies for lack of a motion. Moving on to item 16. Recommend approval for the Hannah High School Choir to travel to New York City, New York on May 17th through the 20th of 2012. I'll open the floor for discussion, Mrs. Peña.
Dr. Montoya, on this item, how are we conducting security for the students while they're at the hotel? I know when we have other events, they've had the parents kind of stay up all night. Literally all night.
Members of the board, Ms. Peña, the agreement, if you remember from a previous discussion, is that we will work with our chief to furnish someone from the police department to be the person that will attend the event with the parent group and the students. So we will have a person from the police department that will actually go on the trip themselves.
Thank you very much. I just needed to have that confirmed. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from the board?
Move to approve.
I have a motion, Mrs. Peña, seconded by Mr. Aguilar. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 18, recommend approval to change the guidelines for determining the hourly rate of a rehired classified employee. I'll open the floor for discussion, Mrs. Peña.
Can I have a little bit of background in a nutshell on that?
Dr. Montoya?
Dr. Atkinson, I think we want to share that specific.
Thank you, Dr. Montoya, Dr. Escobedo, members of the board. Yes, Ms. Peña, we had provided you basically an example this at the beginning of the meeting. And what we're looking at basically, because it is part of our employee handbook that was brought to the board for approval, normally if it was just an internal guideline, we could make that adjustment. But since it is already a board-approved handbook, we wanted to bring it back to you all and explain that we have actually had several that are currently pending, employees that had left for whatever reason, not part of the early resignation incentive, mind you, but they left for family reasons, health reasons, to go pursue a degree, anything like that. When they come back, though, because of the way that there was a lapse in service, they come back and they're placed on the scale. There are several that actually make less than what they were making when they left. So we have really, we would only like to do it for our classified employees, that in the event that they come back, and the way that we apply the formula where they would actually be making less than when they were current employees, we'd like that flexibility to at least give them what they were making when they left. Again, this was for our classified employees, and the example we gave you was one for a bus driver that worked with us for 18 years, great credentials and evaluations, but had to leave for family reasons, came back, and then was actually going to make almost $4,000 less, which is a lot.
I appreciate that. I just wanted to make that public because there's questions on that. So I move to approve.
Thank you, Dr. Atkinson, and I'm glad that we changed that because it was slightly leaning. It was leaning on the unfairness the way it was, and with this change, it will be equitable and fair to those employees that leave for those reasons. Any other comments or questions from the board? If not, I had a motion for Mrs. Peña, and I had a second by Dr. Saavedra. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. Item 19. Recommend approval to authorize administration to accept the Hannah High School Performance Arts Instructional Facility as substantially complete. I'll open the floor for discussion. Mrs. Peña.
Yes, I saw some of the checklist, and can someone from this construction site are familiar with it, tell me how much of this checklist is complete? Like what % are we lacking?
Dr. Montoya.
Mr. President, members of the board, one of the things that we did a few weeks ago, we actually had a team that went over there to look at the campus, and I think there was around 10 or 12 people that were actually involved. We wanted to use the construction company as well as others to check, but I think Mr. Haynes, you have that specific information.
And before you answer, Mr. Haynes, Mrs. Longoria had a question. Maybe if she asks, you can answer them both at the same time. Mrs. Longoria?
Yeah.
One at a time.
Yeah. I had the same question as Ms. Peña. Have these items on the punch list been completed? And also, who does the cleanup? Does the contractor do the cleanup or
Mr. Haynes?
maintenance guys?
Dr. Escobedo, Dr. Montoya, members of the board. As far as the question on the punch list, 100% of the punch list has been done. Like Dr. Montoya said, we did have different departments going to Hannah, and they reviewed and checked the building, and whatever they found, it was reported to facilities. Facilities went ahead and did a punch list with the architect and the contractor, and they went over them. And this was the list that was left, but they have completed it 100%.
Who does the cleaning?
The cleaning, the contractor.
Good, because
questions.
Okay. Yeah, because I noticed the contractor billed this for the cleanup, so I just was verifying.
Mrs. Peña?
And I was told yes, but I want to make sure. Well, the parking lot had a little bit of an issue with handicap parking. Now that I'm in this condition, I'm picking up a lot of little things everywhere. God bless those people that are a permanent disability. But there was a little bit of a problem where they were put. Did we correct some of those problems with the handicap parking?
Mr. Dr. Montoya?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Haynes.
Thank you. Once again, board members, at this time I would like to call Cesar Garza. He'll be able to answer that one.
Mr. Garza, was the issue with the parking lot corrected in regards to the handicapped
accessibility
to
the sidewalk?
Dr. Escobedo, board members, Dr. Montoya, Ms. Peña, I just discussed that this afternoon with our architect and our contractor, Mr. Rene Capistran, and he was aware of the situation that you mentioned, and they tell me everything that you were concerned about, the signs and all the other items were taken care of.
And the accessibility to get to the ramp, being that the cars were parked so far up, it was hard to get around.
Yes. My understanding, and I wasn't aware that when you were there, but what they tell me is that they had not finished the work that at the parking lot the day that you visited, and that it's all been taken care of.
Okay, because there was some, if I may, Dr. Montoya, there was some parking bump, the bump that stops the vehicle. It was very hard to get around that, to get to the ramp, to get on the sidewalk, to get to the building. So, and if that was taken care of, that's all I ask, because that's really important to our.
Mr. Capistran telling me that that's the issue that you had, and it's been taken care of.
I so appreciate. Thank you.
Do I have a motion to provide?
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Mrs. Peña, seconded by Dr. Saavedra. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 20, recommend approval, authorization for administration to submit student attendance waivers as needed for the 2011-2012 school year. Dr. Montoya.
Mr. President, members of the board, this is a standard process when we want TEA in Austin to allow us to claim some attendance, and obviously we had a very unfortunate circumstance a couple of weeks ago at one of our middle schools, so we went ahead and did the paperwork for the state to waive that and to give us the attendance in terms of the issue those days, so we do need the board approval on that one.
Peña?
Move to approve.
Okay, did you have a question, Doctor? No, okay, I have a motion. I have two motions to approve, so I'll pick Mrs. Peña and Dr. Saavedra second. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 21, recommend approval of resolution number 023//11-12 regarding the early notification of voluntary resignation incentive program for January 23, 2012 through February 22nd, 2012. I'll open the floor for discussion. Mrs. Peña.
Yes, Dr. Montoya, I had some personnel bring something to my attention, and I said, well, all I can do is ask, and all you can say is no. But where the percentages of retirement for classified up to, I think it was $5,000, if I'm not if I'm correct. It's $5,000 for
Dr.
classified.
Atkinson, if you want to share the specific numbers, please. Sure.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Montoya, Dr. Escobedo, members of the board. Yes, Ms. Peña, that we have classified at 20% up to $5,000.
Okay, some were asking, would it be feasible financially to move that up to where they could get up to $10,000? And the reason I ask, because there's a lot of people that were interested in retiring, is that something that's even feasible? I wanted you to explain it so people in the community who are watching will understand why we can't do that.
Dr. Atkinson?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Escobedo, members of the board. I guess at this point, the administration is recommending this tiered service based on recommendations that we've received through different vehicles. But really, it's at the board's discretion in terms of if you're going to accept our recommendations. This is what we're standing on based on it being tiered for the different levels of employees in the district. And it follows very much the pattern that you have already established in this. So if we're going to veer, then it would be very possible for our certified professional hiring employees to come back and say, well, if we're going to do 10,000 for classified, why don't we do 20,000 for certified?
Yeah,
so I don't want to start the race that way.
And the question that was brought to my attention was somebody like with 20 years of service or 25 years of service. And I told them, well, all I can do is my job is ask. Yes. That's it.
And if I may, Dr. Montoya, might just go ahead and clarify why we can't tier it in terms of years of experience, because that would violate certain state rules.
Yes,
we
it
use
would.
percentages because that's that's uniform. So if I'm a 0 to 5 year employee, I'm not going to hit that 10,000 or that 5,000 or 7,500. I'm going to have more years of experience based on the percentage. And do you mind? I just want to also note that last year you had a $3,500. Now it's at 5,000, so there was an increase. So we stand by those recommendations unless the board is giving Dr. Montoya any other direction.
Dr. Montoya?
No, we recommend everything as it stands and as it was presented.
Yes.
Well, thank you for your explanation.
I have a motion by Dr. Saavedra, seconded by Mrs. Peña. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes unanimously. Mrs. Presas is not in the bill.
Dr. Escobedo, I think Dr. Atkinson wanted to say one more thing.
We already voted on it. It's done.
But
go ahead.
Can I?
Dr. Escobedo is like a freight train. He just runs
Go ahead.
whoever's in the way.
Sorry, 30 seconds or less,
Sure.
because there were a couple of adjustments made based on yesterday's budget committee meeting, so I just want to point them out for the record. And I know the backup has already been changed officially by the board, but just as a matter of rule, that the employee opting to apply for this incentive is not eligible for employment for 2 years. There is no reemployment clause. It's going to stay the same that we had this past year. The other thing is that we're also making sure that, of course, anyone that's been placed on administrative leave during the school year or is currently on leave is not eligible for this incentive program. And again, that's consistent to what was in place this past year.
And when an employee has a question, where can they go for their answers?
They can come straight to my office, or they can come to HR. Either a certified or classified administrator will be able to help them.
Answer all their questions.
And just the recommendation from the committee yesterday was also to make sure we extend the time period for being able to rescind the request from 5 days to 10 days, and that's noted in here also. So I just want to make that note for the record.
Thank you.
So, if I may, for clarification, then the rehire about paying back the money if you come back, that was taken out.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Move to approve.
Very much. Moving on to item 23.
Oh, never mind.
Recommend approval to purchase
My
the
apologies.
Agile Mind program to be utilized in math and biology classes in accordance with expectation of tips, grant implementation of program strategies to improve academic progress of students and meet AYP requirements. I'll open the floor for discussion, Mrs. Peña.
Yes. How much is this? It's number 23. Am I correct, sir?
Yes.
Pull it up
Correct.
right here.
Also, I had a question.
Yeah.
Or
Lucy.
Mrs. Longuetti, you had questions as well?
Yeah, same question.
Yeah, it is.
Is this amount correct? 229,000,
Dr. Montoya?
Looking for.
$860, or is that a typo?
No, that is correct. Ms. Berta Peña, I know that you work with these grants. If you'll please address that.
Mrs. Peña?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Escobedo, Dr. Montoya, and members of the board. Agile Minds was bought originally last year for at-risk students. It was a math program. It has software. It has booklets. It has training support. Pace High School has written a proposal under their grant, their TIPS grant, and they asked the state to be allowed to buy this software for the entire campus. They feel this is going to help them in the two areas that they are under AYP for, and it's a big price tag, but their teachers have been trained over the summer. They're ready to start. They believe in this program, and the TIPS grant allowed it.
It's an excellent program.
Mrs. Peña?
It's research-based.
And okay, that was my question. We have proven results on this, so this is money well spent to make sure our kids are up to par in that area.
The campus Pace High School has done their research, ma'am. There are school districts that in the area, when they used Agile Minds, it's research-based, and these school districts have shown remarkable improvement in student achievement in these two areas. Therefore, Pace High School teachers, because they've done their homework, they've done their training, they believe that they can do the same. It has become a metamorphosis in the classroom because teachers now teach differently. It's a group support that they have students working under.
Any other comments or questions from the board, Mrs. Longoria?
Yeah, one more comment. I notice here there's a sole source letter from the company. Was this verified through our purchasing department?
Ms. Peña?
Mrs. Longoria, Dr. Escobedo, I can tell you, you caught me off guard a little bit because I'm not sure 100%, but I can tell you with all truthfulness that last year when we purchased Agile Minds for our at-risk students, it was verified, it was approved by purchasing, and this is a continuation but at a bigger scale for the entire campus. It's the same company. It is and it's the same program, but now with science and now for more math classes.
Other comments or questions? If not, do I have a motion to
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Mrs. Peña, seconded by Dr. Saavedra. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 24, request approval for a full-time equivalent FTE for risk manager and assistant athletic administrator for the 2011-2012 school year. I circled this one because this will be an amended motion. We are not doing the assistant athletic administrator for now. So it's a request approval for full-time equivalent for a risk manager for the 2011-2012 school year. I'll open the floor for discussion. If no questions, I have a motion to approve.
Motion.
I have a motion by Mrs. Presta, seconded by Mrs. Peña. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to
And can I just make a comment?
item 30, of course.
Can we please make sure, Dr. Montoya, that when we bring stuff to our attention, that we don't bunch them up?
Yes, ma'am. We discussed that today with the
We've asked that
president,
like 20
and
times.
we will not do that again.
It's not going to happen again, at least
That's
for
the
the
20th
next.
time I've gotten that answer.
No,
Let's hope
no,
it
This
we're
is
not
the first
going
time I've told you.
Yeah, no, so we're not going to do it.
Okay, then I'm going to I guess your word is worth gold. Right. I'm going to hold you to it.
Thank
When
you.
you do the agenda, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 30, recommend, we are now on budget amendments, recommend approval of budget amendment number 079 in the amount of $35,000 for Fund 429 TEMA grant. This is new funding. I'll open the floor for discussion, Mrs. Peña.
Yes, I had a question, I guess, for all of them, and I'm pretty much think I know the answer, but I want to get affirmation to my answer. New funding, and some say additional funding. So new funding are new grants that we've come into,
That's
blessed
correct.
of getting, for lack of better wording. And additional funding is a grant that is there, and we're continuing it, and they've let us continue that grant. Is that correct?
Dr. Montoya?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, well, then
So with
I
that said, do I have a motion to approve item 30 and 31?
I move to approve.
I have a motion by Mrs. Peña, second by Dr. Saavedra. This is for item 30 and 31. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 46, contracts and agreements. Recommend approval of 6 months software and maintenance agreement with Timeware, incorporating the amount of $27,520. Services to be rendered subject to district's needs and funding. I'll open the floor for discussion, Mrs. Peña.
Yes, is this, Dr. Montoya, is there any problems with this software? Or, because, we've had so many softwares that we've purchased that doesn't benefit us. Is this a proven software where we're not going to have
Dr.
any
Montoya?
problems with it?
Ms. Peña, members of the board, there have been some issues, in all honesty, and we have gotten reports. And I think, Mr. Garcia, you have some follow-up on
Mr.
that.
Garcia?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Montoya, Dr. Escobedo, board members. Yes, we do have some issues. Remember, we brought this as a presentation. This is the actual biometric clocks. We're extending the maintenance agreement just for 6 months, if you notice, because we are doing the study that we said we would do and work it into a budget for next year in case we're going to change systems. So, yes, we do have problems, but yes, we do need the maintenance agreement for 6 months.
Any other comments?
This is a hardware where they check in with a thumb.
Correct. For attendance purposes.
And I just wanted to know if by schools they could. I know I asked for this list a long time ago of those that had gone a whole year and they never appear on that signing. And I know it's broken, but I want to see are there employees in certain schools where it's always broken for them 100% of the time?
Dr. Montoya?
I asked for a list of
we
that.
can, I think, working with your person that's in charge, Mr. Garcia, let's go ahead and produce that information for the board. As equipment fails, we have reported it to our people here to repair it. Now the question begs itself, how long does it take to repair that and how long does it remain broken? But we'll go ahead and produce that information, Mr. Garcia.
Thank you.
If not, have motion to approve item
Move to approve.
46. Have motion, Mrs. Peña. Mrs. Presas.
I had just one comment.
Okay.
So, can we just make sure that by this kind of fiscal year that we are aware of what is really going to happen with this, because we've already invested a lot of money into it, and maybe you can come back, just tell us blatantly it's not going to work or not.
Yes.
Okay, please.
We will do that.
Thanks.
So I had a motion by Mrs. Peña, and I had a seconded by Dr. Saavedra. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 47, bids, proposals, purchases. Recommend awarding RFQ number 12-072 for Texas Department of Insurance, windstorm inspection and structural engineering services district-wide. I'll open the floor for discussion. Mrs. Longoria.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
Move.
I have a motion by Mrs. Peña, seconded by Dr. Saavedra. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 50, recommend awarding RFQ number 12-083 for delinquent ad valorem tax collections for the firm meeting the qualifications and needs of the district. The contract will be for a 1 year beginning January 2012 with the option to renew. I'll open the floor for, Dr. Montoya.
Mr. President, members of the board, and I wanted our board counsel to clarify for me that we can make a presentation with a referral as to, who we recommend. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's permissible for the administration to make a recommendation for this type of contract.
Okay, Mr. Garcia, if you'd like to briefly share what our process was and how this, what the recommendation is.
Yes, sir. Dr. Montoya, Dr. Escobedo, board members, as mentioned yesterday, we started this process back in December. We had bid openings December 27th. We then reviewed those bids, and then actually yesterday each vendor made a presentation to the board. Since then, we have finished our ranking. It was a committee that consisted of three individuals. We ranked the whole procedures. This afternoon, I checked references on the firm that was selected as the top choice, and at this point we're ready to make a recommendation to our school board, and this is administration is actually recommending the law firm of Lineberger, Gogan, Blair, and Sampson LLP.
Okay, with that said, I'll open the floor for any discussion. If not, do I have a motion to approve?
I motion to approve.
I have a motion by Mrs. Presas. Do I have a second? I have a second by Mrs. Longoria. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
And let the record show I oppose because of the percentage rate. I'm here to help the community.
Yeah, I think I had.
Dr. Saavedra?
Yeah, on the ranking and the process, everything was checked and everything was based on what, I guess, the bid process or whatever. That's my question. I need to make sure.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Mr. Garcia?
Yes, Dr. Montoya. Yes, Dr. Saavedra, actually the ranking criteria was part of the bid. Each firm received what they were going to be ranked on, and that's the procedures that we used and the criteria that we used to rank them.
And this is the recommendation by administration?
That is correct.
Okay, I concur.
Okay,
I vote yes.
So the motion passes 4-3. Moving on to item 51, recommend awarding RFP number 12-101, property and casualty, flood, windstorm, and hail. I'll open the floor for discussion. Mrs. Longoria.
Yeah, the option to renew for 2 additional years. This doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be renewed for an additional 20 years, does it? Or?
Dr. Montoya?
That's correct. That's just for the time period that's agreed upon and listed. Is all the agreement, right, Mr. Garcia? I think that was
Mr. Garcia, before you say, Mrs. Presas, you have another question?
Yeah. On this one, I had a concern. I just want to make sure that our list is updated of the buildings, and that we make sure that we pay close attention to the buildings of what are we really insuring in our buildings, and to I know that there was a concern that we weren't really going to go out for RFPs, but we did save some money on this item. I think there was a $200,000 savings, and I thank administration I had sent an email. I had discussed why can't we go out there and test the waters. Obviously, we're in a time where we need to start telling these people, hey, we can't be paying you what we were paying you. If you want to match it or beat it. You know, it's a Walmart, Kmart industry right now.
Mr. Garcia?
Yes, Dr. Montoya, Dr. Escobedo, board members, to answer both questions. First question from Ms. Longoria. Yes, this is a 1-year renewal. 1-year contract with an option to renew up to 2 years, but we would come to the board at that time. With the industry the way it is, it would behoove us to check the market on a yearly basis to see if we could save monies. And 2, yes, we have done what is called a summary of values. Matter of fact, last year we had $890 million covered. This time we opted to $930 million. We've been working with our facilities department, with Mr. Haynes, Mr. Garza, Judy, Ms. Cuellar, and myself. We've looked at the values and we have included those this time around.
Mrs. Peña?
I look at the list for the vendors and the bids received, and we only got one. I go back to the same thing. This is like amazing that BISD only gets one. And I go back to the time that when someone brought to the attention of the superintendent that they would get the bid after the closing date. So how can we verify, Dr. Montoya, how can we confirm that they are actually receiving this bid at the correct address? I give you the example that our own attorney never got the opportunity to bid because it went to an address that they were no longer at, because we told someone in the district, but the right hand didn't talk to the left hand inside the district. How do we know that's not happening?
Dr. Montoya?
I think, Mr. Garcia, we need to talk to Ms. Peña, who obviously processes the bid process, to find out, to make sure that's correct. But I think you have some statements.
Yes, just a couple of quick statements. First of all, we do try to verify the addresses, and we do send them out. The other thing on this one, it's kind of like a misconception. It's not just one company that's covering the entire risk factor for the school district. Actually, this company then has 12 insurance companies that are all AAA rating, that our risk is then spread throughout those companies. So it appears that it's just one company, but there really is 12 under the umbrella.
Mrs. Presas?
Okay, on our portables, we have how many portables? 300, 400 portables? Almost. Can somebody answer that question?
Who knows the number of portables?
Mr. Haynes.
Mr. Haynes?
Who has that answer?
Estimate on that?
Please, somebody.
A very close estimate, plus or minus 2.
You know, give or
This
take.
time I don't have an estimate. I couldn't tell you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Does anybody?
That is correct. We do
Right?
have, yes.
400, more or less 300 to 400.
Yes.
Between 200 and 1,000?
No, it's between 200 and 300. Actually, we have Mr. Joe Blassie here, who represents the firm, and yes, we do have between that number of portables, and yes, they are included in the coverage.
But what are you covering the ones that are really worth it, or because some of them?
No, they're all.
But you're going to include because of the equipment that's inside.
That's correct.
And what are the coverage? What is the? Do you know, give or take on the? I know that a structure building is worth a lot more than your portable. That it's
If I may I call Mr. Blassie to the mic and just to answer that question.
Mr. Blassie, you have the floor, sir. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Joe Blassie with TCPN McGriff-Siebels. Depending on the age of the portable, it determines what the district has decided to value it at. It's suggested that you value it at a replacement cost basis, but obviously, depending on the age of the portable, that'll vary.
We know.
With no offense, that's been my concern, because I know that when I worked at maintenance and facilities, we really worked together with the insurance company that was going to insure the buildings, and we knew exactly what it was going to be covered, whether it was just the equipment in the inside or the structure. Because if you look at some of our portable buildings, and to be honest, the floors squeak. There's a lot of corrosion on the outside from the building, and really, I don't think they're when we auction them off for I don't know how much. But my concern is if we're insuring these buildings, that we're just make sure that we are going to get what they're worth.
Absolutely. And one other point, the district is about to engage an appraisal firm to perform a physical appraisal of each of those items, including the portables.
Okay.
Any other comments?
So we're going to
the recommendation.
Garcia?
Now that was brought up.
Just a couple of things to add on to that. At our next facilities meeting, we were going to bring that up. What I can offer at this time to the board, all board members, is an actual copy of the summary of values. It tells you the building, the location, how much it's valued for structure, and how much is the actual contents. And that way, it gives you an opportunity to review them and then perhaps continue this discussion at a facilities meeting.
We'll put that in the
Dr.
facilities.
Escobedo?
Yeah, Mrs. Peña?
Forgive me for feeling this way. Isn't that like putting the cart before the horse?
May I answer that
Yes,
question?
Mr. Garcia.
Absolutely not, because we have done our due diligence to confirm that the summary of values are accurate. We've worked with our facilities department, so no, it's not.
Fair enough.
Right.
Assurance. So we'll put that item also for the facilities meeting.
And one thing that I would like to know, Mrs. Pat and Dr. Montoya, slightly related, when we're going to have our next portable sale and which portables we're going to be selling. With that said, do I have a motion to approve item 51?
I motion.
Second.
I think I had a
Take your
motion by
pick.
Mrs. Perezas, and I think I had a second by Dr. Saavedra. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the motion passes unanimously.
Ale.
I think that was like 3 motions at the same time.
Well, we know how efficient you are.
Moving on to closed meetings pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071 SEC. The board goes into closed session for personnel matters.
Move to approve.
I have a motion, Mrs. Peña, seconded by? I'll second. All in favor, raise your right hand. 3, all opposed? The motion fails, 4-3. 3-4 fails, yeah. Moving on to item, let's see. That is it. We now move on to announcements. Moving on to announcements, Dr. Montoya.
No other announcements other than the ones listed here.
Great. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
I have a motion by Mrs. Peña, seconded by Mrs. Perezas. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. Have a good night.
Good night, Brownsville. Way to say good night, sir.